All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Market Close. We are 2 minutes early, and we are live Thursday, July 17th. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We have Netflix earnings after the bell. It is going to be a big one when it comes to big tech, so we are going to get into Netflix earnings in about 15 minutes. But before Netflix earnings... Again, if you are working from home today, you are not working. Don't even try to lie about it. You are not working. You are staring at this market. 106.45 on hoodie. Palantir did touch 155 at one point. It's at 154. Nvidia got to 174. SoFi above 22. Grab looks like we're finally going to get a 520 close, maybe a 525 close on Grab. S&P 500 all-time highs, hit 628. AMD at 160. And you got the Qs, the NASDAQ, again, at all-time highs. I mean, it's just an incredible market across the board. There's a lot of other names that are running that we'll talk about. Some names that kind of underperformed throughout the day. Tessie, one of those names that really didn't do that much, kind of down about 1%. It still is up from last week. But Tesla right here, nothing too crazy on the day. You got some other names. Meta, relatively flat. Amazon kind of flat. Google, flat. But the high beta names are getting their money's worth today. Bitcoin right here, 119. The treasuries, a little bit of a dip. BMNR down about 5% on the day. SBET, this one is also down about 1.3. Recovered a little bit. It was down 10% at one point. And then BTBT, that is up 2%. Where is Open Door? Open Door right here, up about 10%. It was up like 40% at one point in the pre-markets. That one is flat. And then Rocket Lab did get 54 or 53.50 at one point. And that one's down to 50.79, giving back a little bit of the gains, but still up 7% on the day. I mean, just an incredible day. Just an incredible day. So let me just ask right here in the chat, what did you do today? Did you buy? Did you sell? Did you sell puts, sell calls? Did you hedge your portfolio? I mean, it's just like I asked this question on Twitter, and people are honestly, a lot of people are just confused because it's one of those days where you're like, all right, do I hold? Do I take some profits? Do I like sell some calls? How do I navigate this? And it's pretty incredible. It's pretty incredible across the board, seeing some of this momentum. There's a lot of other macro catalysts for why this is happening that we'll talk about in a second. But again, this momentum has been pretty strong. Okay, so I see a lot of short calls, meaning people are selling some calls. I see a lot more buys than sells. I do see some sells right here. And if you are selling, I see people buying the dip. So I see some people saying, I sold this and I picked up more ASML. ASML is red on the day, or it might be green right here, but it's red for the week. So maybe buying some names that are a little bit down 1.65% today on ASML. Uber right here, 90.49. They put $300 million into Lucid to expand robotaxis. Lucid right here is up 33% on the day, continue to maintain its momentum. Robinhood right here, 106, continuing to do well. Maybe we get 107. We got 14 minutes left. I'll check resistance at 107. And then Palantir, we did get 155.68. Palantir back at 154. I see people buying some Oscar today. I mean, you had Oscar that, wow, I did not know. I haven't looked at Oscar in like 3 hours. That one's down 9%. All right, so that means UNH might not be pretty. UNH, it's basically where it was in the morning, 287. How about Lemonade? Is that one pretty? Lemonade is actually up 2%. Okay, so this is an Oscar-specific thing today. It's not across the entire insurance marketplace. So I guess we'll try to get some more details on how that's playing out. ASTS right here, 57.55. That's up 9%. That's up a little bit more than where it was in the morning. Microsoft hit all-time highs. Absolutely incredible, 512. Where's Big Bear? Big Bear, that's up 15% on the day. SoundHound is up 7% on the day, 6.69%. And then you had QBTS, which hit 19 in the morning, 19 still up 13% on the day. Pretty incredible stuff. One of the reasons some of the crypto names are running, including Robinhood, Coinbase, and then the derivative plays like the SBETs, BMNRs, is because it looks like we're getting some crypto legislation pretty soon.
Measure that would basically say when a digital asset is a commodity, when is it a security. And this is the one that for the crypto industry, this is the number one priority for them. It's a wide-ranging bill. It now goes on to the Senate. And look, there are concerns about the Senate's ability to get this done. There are debates between the House and the Senate and what the bill should look like. Also concerns about potentially getting Democratic support in the Senate. But what we just saw happen on the House floor, 78 Democrats crossed the aisle and voted with Republicans on that bill. That's relevant because the last time the House voted on a similar measure, they got 71 Democrats. So an actually very strong bipartisan support. Does not seem that Democrats were deterred by the fact that Donald Trump and his family are profiting off of crypto. That's something that came up a lot in debates today on the Democratic side, but it doesn't seem to have depressed the number of Dems who are willing to back this legislation. So now we are seeing the House go ahead and take a vote on the stablecoin bill. That one, again, is expected to have a strong bipartisan showing, and that is expected to be sent to Trump's desk, where he could sign it into law tomorrow. We're hearing tomorrow afternoon. Carl?
So that is why Bitcoin and Ethereum are running today. And the crypto legislation looks like it is going to get passed. Right now, the House has enough votes to pass the Genius Act, which would be great for stablecoins, which if you believe in Tom Lee's thesis on Ethereum, that would be really good for Ethereum as well. The vote is ongoing, and it looks like that one is going to play out. Fear and greed, folks. We are officially in extreme greed, slightly there. Yesterday was greed. Now we're in extreme greed, 76. Again, when you have a name like Open Door go up 40% in less than 24 hours, obviously people are going to think that is some extreme greed. But again, it's the same thing I said in the morning. I don't think that's indicative of the broader market. And if it's not indicative of the broader market, then I don't think that necessarily means it's a threat to the market. Ethereum right here, 3,400. Webull, this one also, great day, up 10%. Your boy sold it yesterday. Granted, I bought hoodie at 103, and that's doing well. So I had covered calls at 1450 anyway. If it blasts through my 1450 covered calls, I wouldn't have been able to get any of the upside. I would have broke even at 1450. So if it stays below 1450, then I guess it was a good trade. If it blasts above that, then we'll see how this one plays out. Ultimately, the thing here on Webull for why it's running is the reintroduction of crypto to the platform is what's getting it momentum today. That could be short-term momentum. That could be long-term. Ultimately, I think for the brokerage to actually be successful with crypto, they have to show the revenue growth from crypto. And, that might take some time to play out, but the street might pull that revenue growth forward. And as a result, Webull might get that momentum. So let me know in the chat if you're still in Webull. If you're in it, then congrats. You are up 11% on the day and you are holding on. And that one is just doing its thing. Pound right here, 154. Robinhood, 105.94. I think we get the 105 close, folks. I think we get the 105 close. Let me check 107 resistance real quick on Robinhood. If we do, it would be incredible. If not, still a great day, but would not be too bad. 107 on Hoodie. We got 10 minutes to get there. About 18,000 shares. About 18,000 shares to see if we can get there. All right, there's like a few of you. I think there's like 10 or 15 of you that are in Webull. Shopify, big day for Shopify. Shout out to Austin in the chat. This is a big holding of his. Wow, 6% on the day. They had an OpenAI integration. By the way, OpenAI, that event they were having at 1 p.m., it was about a new way to introduce agents. And the agent they introduced is like, it's an agent that can make spreadsheets and PowerPoints. I haven't looked at the presentation, but it's legit an agent that can make a spreadsheet or a PowerPoint. So, yeah, I mean, bullish NVIDIA, because if you're going to have a lot of people using these agentic workflows from OpenAI to make spreadsheets and PowerPoints, it's a lot of compute. So it all comes back to NVIDIA. TSM earnings, again, crushed it this morning. That's why the market is giving NVIDIA all-time highs at 174. But ultimately, another step for advancing agents in the age of AI. For those that missed the market open, again, the other reason the market is having some fun today, all-time highs on the S&P and the NASDAQ, is retail sales. Retail sales for the month of June, 0.6 versus 0.1% expected. Massive beat. Consumers healthy. Jobless claims, 221 versus 235. It means people aren't filing for unemployment at the levels that would be recessionary. And then you had United, which had a pretty damn good earnings if it wasn't for Newark Airport and some of the issues that it caused last quarter, but the street's overlooking that. United up 3.5%. And then today after the bell, we're going to see the strength of the consumer in the context of Netflix. Speaking about Netflix, I put in the chat, should we buy 10 shares of Netflix? We're not going to do 100 shares. We'll do 10. It's up to you guys. If we buy it, it's a 60-40 split right now. In a couple minutes, if this continues to be 60-40, we will purchase 10 shares of Netflix. I don't know what's going to happen, bro. I really don't. I mean, I want to say it's going to pump because maybe there's a stock split. Squid Games was a big subscriber driver. Maybe they're going to guide for Q3, Q4 to be strong. Remember, the street thinks of this as a defensive play in the context of a recession. If you have a recession, are you really canceling Netflix? Probably not. So, I mean, you got the tailwinds there, but it is at all-time highs. So they're going to have a monster quarter, and we're going to get the results like almost instantaneously. And we'll see how the stock reacts. Maybe it dumps, maybe it doesn't. If it dumps, it's Netflix. It'll be okay long term. But if it pumps, it'll be nice to see. I mean, I put in the chat if you think if they should do a split. I think they should. It would be logical. Like at this point, it would make sense. And if they do, that could be a tailwind. But if they don't, then it might just not happen. So that's what we got on Netflix. Yes, Trump was diagnosed with chronic vein condition tied to leg swelling. That was a new medical report that came out today. The White House said it's because he's shaking hands so much. I'm not even joking. The White House said he's shaking a lot of hands. That's why his veins are like tightening up. So yeah, that is something that the White House said. White House reading doctor letter, minor bruising on hand consistent with frequent handshaking. So that's what we got on Trump. Palantir right here. Again, we had a new deal in the morning for Palantir, 154.2. Again, I think, the deal, we didn't talk about it too in depth. I read a little bit about it, but it's clinical payment invoicing ontologized within Foundry. And there's a lot more to it, but it's just incredible stuff that came out today in terms of different diverse sectors that the company is just finding themselves into. And it's very exciting to see them get more and more momentum across a variety of different elements when it comes to use cases. And that is the nature of AI. How many different use cases can you have? Palantir has a lot of them. And that's why I think the street is also continuing to see the diversity of different ways they can be used. Here's Shyam Sankar, 30-second clip on Fox Business Today talking at the Reindustrialize Summit in Detroit.
I would agree with the president that we are the leader in AI. We're not catching up, we're leading. But we are catching up in other dimensions. China has 250 times the shipbuilding capacity of the United States. Last year, China built more ships than we have built cumulatively since World War II. So there are dimensions where we have to think about how do we use AI to make us strong in all these other dimensions. And that's the point of reindustrialization. We've kind of chosen to unilaterally disarm our industry over 40 years. We've got to undo 40 years of misguided policy in 40 months.
And that for the investors means Warp Speed, which is their reindustrialization platform to bring American manufacturing back, is essentially the way that can turn into real revenue for Palantir. So incredible stuff for Palantir, 154.15. NVIDIA right here, 173. NVIDIA, dude, it kind of silently hit all-time highs today at 174.16. Market cap now 4.25 trillion. Absolutely incredible. And the S&P 500 looks like we're going to end the day at all-time high, 627.88. Webull, are we running? We are running on Webull, 1435. Again, that one's still up 11% of the day. Grab, if we get that 520 close, it would be incredible. Oh, the Grab option chain, by the way, starting to explode. You're getting a lot of people buy the 550 call into August, and then net call premium surpassed net put premium in late June. Net call premium continues to rise along with the stock price. 134,000 went into the $10 strike calls expiring January 2027. So you do have the option buyers coming in as they are starting to get a bit more excited about some of this momentum for Grab. In terms of volume today, is this just on today? Let me see. Yeah, so volume today. Wow, take a look at this, guys. 176,000 calls, 17,000 puts. That's a 0.1% put call ratio. That's a lot of people buying calls or selling calls potentially, and not as many people on the put side. So, and at these levels, you would imagine people are more likely buying calls than selling. It could be significant selling of calls as well, but still, that's probably leading to some of the bullish momentum on the option flow for Grab. NVIDIA right here, 173, and then Robinhood, 105.65. Did we get the House? Did they pass the legislation? Did that happen? There you go. U.S. House passes stablecoin legislation, paving the way for President Donald Trump to sign it into law. The Genius Act is passed, or it's about to be passed. Circle, a little bit of a green candle. That one was up 15% yesterday, not really reacting today, but that is very, very bullish for Circle. Then you've got Tom Lee right here putting this out today, essentially saying kind of what we've been saying for the past couple of days right here, that he said MicroStrategy set the standard for treasuries. BMNR wants to be the MicroStrategy of Ethereum. That's what he's trying to do. He's trying to become the MicroStrategy of Ethereum. And the big announcement on BMNR today is that they bought $1 billion worth of Ethereum. So now they have a total of 300,000 Ethereum. SPED has 280,000. So they've now crossed them. Their MNAV went down today because A, the stock went down, but B, they have not 500 million, but $1 billion in Ethereum. So the premium you're paying did go down. And ultimately, Tom Lee is convincing Wall Street that Ethereum matters. If it works out with stablecoins, then maybe that is going to be something that really plays out. Wow, XRP Ironically, I only got the pizza and Parmesan chicken text from Steve on lunch. I didn't get the XRP text today. I did not get the, hey, look at XRP. I got the, hey, look at my lunch. So maybe Steve's too busy enjoying the Parmesan chicken to see XRP. But there you go. All right, are we buying Netflix? We got 2 minutes until the close. 60-40. All right, it's done. Do not follow me, please. Because if Netflix tanks, I don't want you blaming me. This is a pure gamble on my part. If it goes up, good. If it doesn't go up, we'll hold Netflix. It is what it is. There you go. We are in 1274.5. 1274.5. And look, if it tanks and you got to bag hold Netflix, it's Netflix. It's one of the most incredible companies in the world. It is what it is. Which is why I like doing this on, companies that I like, we bought 100 shares of Google last time for earnings. If it really tanked, okay, it's Google. It's Google. It'll be okay. So that's what we got on Netflix. Let's see. All right. So now we got a minute left. Let's do the pump or dump. Pump or dump poll. Let's see. Netflix kicks off earnings. Pump or dump. What do we think? I'm going pump because I just bought some, but we are going to see. We are going to see. It is time, ladies and gentlemen. It is time. Netflix, usually we get the results very soon. We get them very, very, very soon. So we will find out literally in about either right at the bell or very close to the bell what we get for Netflix. Dude, what a day. What a freaking day. This was one of those days, but it's here. Incredible stuff. Congrats to everyone for being invested in these markets. And now it's time to prove that we can maintain these multiples across the board. And to do that, we got to deliver earnings. And so far, the financials did their thing. Now the tech companies have got to deliver earnings. And if they can do it, I think this market goes higher. I think we sustain the multiples. If we can't, we're going to have some issues. But it is time. It's time for tech companies to do what they have to do in regards to earnings. All right, folks. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We got a lot more headlines. Thursday, July 17th, 4 p.m. The stock market is now closed. All right, Netflix, we should get results pretty soon. In the meantime, let's just quickly see how the market closed. Donald Trump's son SPAC, that one was down 22% today. Pew SBET was down about 2%. BMNR was down about 6%. SoFi gets a $22 close. Grab gets the $5.25 close. Hims was down about 3% on the day. That closed directly at 50. Q's all-time high. Snapchat 991. Where was Palantir? Palantir 153.99. Where was Hoodie? Hoodie 105.45. 105 on Hood. 153.99 on Palantir. And SoFi 2209. Not bad at all. Grab got 520. NVIDIA got exactly 173. NVIDIA got exactly 173. What about Rocket Lab? Rocket Lab got 5133. Dude, Rocket Lab, just incredible. Got rejected at 5350, gave back some of the gains, but 5133 just broke through the 50s over the past 2 days, and 7% up. Not too bad at all for Rocket Lab. All right, Netflix up 2%. We are up 2%. We got to see if that goes red or green. Can it hold it? Can it not? There you go. You're looking at Netflix right there. Let's see if it has a shot to actually make a move. I am trying to get these numbers. And then we will get through all the different things they tell us on earnings. I think their call starts at like 4:30. And so we should see pretty soon what we've got on Netflix. Okay, so it's like it's trying to go green. It's not definitively going green. Now, last time that happened, and it ended up pumping a little bit later. So let's see. Do we have earnings? I think we do. Let me see. Do we get it? Yes, we got it. Netflix 719 beat expectations of 706 on EPS. That's a nice beat. Revenue 11.08 versus 11.05. That's a beat. Okay, so they beat on the top and the bottom. It's not the biggest beat in the world, but it is indeed a beat. They did beat. That's why I think the street's not really giving them a massive candle, because it's like it's a good beat, but it's not like a, oh my goodness, that's a monster beat. Granted, you wouldn't really sell them because of those earnings. And if they were going to be sold off, I think it would have happened by now because of guidance. I haven't checked guidance. Maybe the street is about to see if they like guidance or not, but stock's basically flat. Stocks basically flat. Let me see if I can pull up their IR, and then we'll go deeper into their earnings. Beat on the top and the bottom. Okay, now you're red. Red candle of about 0.5%, 1%, 2%, 1.3%. That red is very similar to that green in terms of it's just not having a ton of momentum. We got to see down 3% or up 3% to say that we're really seeing a little bit more pain. Netflix, do we have the numbers? We have the numbers. Okay, cool. So let's look at the stock just a little bit more to see if it really is going to make a move one way or the other. Remember, last time the exact same thing happened. I don't want to say it dumped. It went down 2%. Now it's going green after going down 1.68%. Like, this one is a volatile one, and I think it takes some time before we factor into the moves. Do we have IBKR today? Holy crap, I forgot we have IBKR. That's another big one. That's a brokerage. We do have IBKR. Okay, we'll get back to Netflix in a second. IBKR, they have a beat on the top and the bottom. That one's up 3%. 51 cents versus 47 cents expected. That's a beat by 9%. And then 1.48 billion versus 1.37. That's a beat by 8%. EPS is up 16% year over year. Revenue's up 20% year over year. IBKR, these are really bullish earnings for Robinhood because you want the brokerage space to do well across the board. IBKR doing nice. Robinhood basically flat after hours. Netflix is down about 1%, but IBKR up 3%. Great earnings for IBKR. We'll go deeper into their numbers, but not bad at all for IBKR. Okay, cool. So Netflix, let me see if we can get deeper into the numbers. Do we have the results? Yes. Okay, first let's look at this, and then we'll get into the actual numbers.
Netflix beating on the top and bottom line with earnings of $7.19 ahead of the $7.08 that was estimated by analysts. Revenues of $11.08 billion, just ahead of analysts of $11.07 billion. But the key thing here is the company is raising its full year revenue guidance for the year. So now guiding to 2025 revenue of 44.8 to 45.2 billion, up from the prior guidance of 43.5 to 44.5 billion.
Okay, let me hear that again. That looks like that's another couple billion they're guiding for. That is not bad at all for fiscal year 2025.
The company is raising its full year revenue guidance for the year. So now guiding to 2025 revenue of 44.8 to 45.2 billion, up from the prior guidance of 43.5 to 44.5 billion.
That's a billion, an extra billion they're guiding for.
I'm noting an FX neutral operating margin of 29.5%, higher than the 29% margin previously shared. I'm going to be digging into this report and we'll be back to you with more. The stock is pretty much flat.
Okay.
All right. Well, stock's dumping now, if we want to call 2% a dump. They did not announce a split, which is annoying, dude. You'd think they would do that. They did not do that. Weeble's pumping, though, up 2%. Is there any news on Weeble outside of the crypto stuff? I feel like there has to be some news for this. Maybe it's pumping on IBKR. IBKR is up 8% after hours. Weeble could be pumping on IBKR. The entire brokerage industry could be pumping on that. Netflix down 2%. Down 2% on Netflix right here on the day. All right, so the actual numbers. Let's pull up the actual numbers and see what Netflix is saying, and then we'll keep going from there. All right, here we go. Netflix, let's dive deep into this. Our business continues to perform well. Q2, we grew revenue 16% and our operating margin of 34% expanded 7 points year over year. Both revenue and operating income were slightly above our guidance due primarily to FX net of hedging. We now forecast revenue of 45 versus 44. That's another billion. We continue to make progress on our key business objectives. In Q2, we had Squid Game Season 3, Sirens, Ginny and Georgia, yada, yada. We're optimistic in the second half of the year based on a variety of different seasonal programming we're putting out. Q2, 11 billion, 16%, operating income 3.7. Wow. Operating margins, guys, quarter over quarter, that's up 3%. That's up 3%, 31 to 34. That is not bad. Net income 3.1, EPS 7.19, free cash flow 2.2. And it looks like free cash flow and operating margins are up. Our Q2 revenue increased by 16% year over year, primarily a function of more members, higher subscription pricing, and increased ad revenue. I forgot they have a massive ad business. All regions experienced healthy year over year growth, with each region posting double-digit neutral increases. Revenue was slightly above our guidance due to favorable FX impact. In Q3, we expect revenue growth of 17%, driven by growth in members, pricing, and advertising revenue. We project operating margins of 31%, which is up 2% year over a year, and then they go into all the different things that are coming out later in the second half. I mean, the numbers look good. Stock's it was at an all-time high. So I can understand why the stock would take a little bit of a breather right here. It's kind of up 2% or kind of down 2%. Now it's recovering just a little bit, down 1.64. Robin is down a little bit after hours. Weeble's losing its after hours pump. It was up 3%. Now it's up 1%. IBKR, that's holding on to some of the pump, up 6.5. Yes, Netflix is priced with more than a premium. I mean, it's an expensive name, but I don't see any red flags in those earnings. Operating margins are up 3% this quarter, 2% guided for the next year. And they raised guidance, which, I mean, dude, you're not raising guidance in a recession. You're just not going to be doing that. Here's the regional breakdown of what we're looking at across the board. Advertising revenue seem to be pretty strong as well. So in United States and Canada, 4.9 billion, Middle East 3.3, Latin America 1.3, Asia 1.3. All of those are growing healthily, dude. United States and Canada still growing 15%, Middle East 18%, LatAm 9%. Okay, so that one's lacking a little bit. And then Asia 24%. So it's not like around the world they are not seeing more growth as well across a variety of sectors. So there you go. Netflix right here getting some love. Robinhood down about 0.5%. Rocket Lab is flat. IBK are up 5.5. Weeble's up 1%. And then Netflix right here down 1.7 on the day. Yes, I agree. They would absolutely need to talk about live sports on the call, because that one is a big tailwind for a lot of their live audience members that ultimately are getting into the stock, or that are getting into the subscription service, primarily based on the reason that they're going to be able to watch things live, whether that's the NFL or WWE. Here's the crypto update right here. Looks like we got stable coins passed, and then we'll get into IBKR earnings.
Hey, Morgan. Well, the House has now passed all three of those crypto bills, the one on market structure that will go to the Senate, the one on banning the central bank digital currency that will also go to the Senate, and of course, the one on stable coins. And that one is headed to the White House tomorrow to President Trump's desk. We're already hearing that there is expected to be a ceremony to sign it. That one is a first of a kind rules of the road bill for stable coins. And of course, this comes as the crypto industry has long lobbied for these. You saw them sink almost $200 million into lawmakers' campaigns in the 2024 election in hopes of moving these bills. And you've already heard them announce that they have $141 million so far for the upcoming midterms. And they do it in a bipartisan manner, building coalitions. And you can see today it is paid off for them. Of course, we're going to have to continue to follow that market structure bill as it goes to the Senate. That is the one that a lot of these crypto groups tell me is really key for them to get passed. But today they're celebrating stablecoin as a win, and with strong bipartisan support for both the stablecoin and the market structure bill. Guys?
Okay, Emily.
Bullish crypto. Bullish crypto. There you go. Let's get a little bit more coverage right here on Netflix. Here's Mark Mahaney and get his take, and then we'll keep going from there. Let me get a little bit more details as well on IBKR and see those earnings.
They needed to put up a beat and raise quarter, and they did. Was it enough? Revenue growth organically actually accelerated. Margins are up year over year. So if you're a bull on Netflix, you're happy with what you got. But I'm not sure there's a reason to aggressively buy the stock right here. You know, it's a small buy for us. With the stock's trading at a 40 PE multiples, at the upper end of its valuation range. Look, everybody expected good results because of Squid Games. You got Stranger Things coming up Wednesday. So the content is all there. The margins are, you're getting the margin trends you want. But the question is, what else is going to be new? So what they need to talk about is how advertising revenue is ramping up. And what they need to talk about is live sports, live events, how we're going to see more of that content on the network. I think you will. I think those are your two big bull characteristics or bull drivers going forwards. But this is a decent print. It's a very good print. This is largely as expected. It doesn't strike me as there's something dramatic to do either way on the stock.
Yeah, it's kind of an quarter. It's nothing good, nothing bad, to be honest. It's definitely not bad, and it's definitely not monster good, especially at these levels. So after hours down 1% is basically a nothing burger, and it might recover, but it also might just stay flat here. If you were going to see a massive 7 to 8% dump, I think it would have happened right now. You kind of can't on these numbers. I mean, you could, but it's also like realistically who's selling because of these numbers, but also who's super buying because of these numbers. So I think you kind of keep it flat unless they say something on the call that's more bullish, which they did last time. And then it pumped from like 900 to 970 by the end of that call. But if not, then, we're going to see how that plays out. Robinhood down a little bit after hours. IBKR giving up a decent chunk of its pump. It was up 8%. Now it's up 3.7. Webull as well, giving up some of that pump. Sharplink Gaming down another 2% after hours. BMNR down another 0.5%. Some of these Ethereum names are taking a little bit of a hit even after that stablecoin legislation and the other types of legislation. The other two bills got passed. 33.94 on Ethereum. Bitcoin, is that moving? That one is 118.8. 118.8. Okay, Black Sky. So this is a SPAC, if I'm not wrong, but this is also a company that Palantir used to have an equity stake in. They do geospatial intelligence. They were working with Ukraine during 2022. This stock is down 23%. It looks like they did an offering of 125 million of convertible senior notes. That makes sense. The stock was up like 70% over the past month. If you were going to do an offering, you would do an offering after your stock surged. So again, some of these high-flying names, you cannot be surprised when they do offerings. They have a fiduciary duty to take advantage of those moments. And if the market's going to bid them up that much, then they are going to issue some more shares. BMNR did that a couple days ago as well, right? When they introduced that $2 billion offering. NVIDIA right here after hours is flat. Everything's kind of taking a little bit of a red candle after the bell. S&P is also flat. The Qs are flat as well, but a lot of the high beta names are taking a little bit of a break. And I think that's okay. I think that's okay because obviously things have been running like crazy and it is all right to consolidate. 5140 right here on Rock Lab as well. Yes, people are taking their profit. I mean, I don't think anyone should be concerned if Robinhood goes back to 100, if Palantir goes back to 140, if Rocket Lab goes back to 45, if, I don't know, the S&P goes back to 615. I mean, like we're running on a hot market. And it is okay to take a step down and consolidate. Who knows? Maybe that happens in August. Maybe that doesn't. Maybe we have such phenomenal earnings growth we go forward. The thing about Netflix, though, is that it's good growth, but it's not phenomenal. It is not phenomenal. And we're going to need big tech to really give some phenomenal numbers here to make sure that continues. Let's get a little bit more coverage on Netflix, and then we'll get IBKR.
First or second quarter this year. They stopped reporting those subscriber numbers at the end of last year. But they say in this report here that member growth was ahead of our forecast, saying this occurred late in the quarter, limiting the impact on Q2 revenue. Also, just want to point out here, Q2 operating margin was well ahead of expectations, 34.1% versus 32.9% expected. Also forecasting higher margins in the third quarter of 31.5% ahead of the 30.8%. That was a street account estimate. Another thing to note here, as the revenue was just a hair ahead of expectations, but the company increased its revenue forecast for the year, saying this reflects the recent appreciation of the US dollar versus most other currencies, with a balance attributable to continued business momentum driven by solid member growth and ad sales. Now, speaking of ad sales here, they don't disclose any numbers about how many of their subscribers are using the ad-supported version, though we hope to hear more in the earnings call. But they say the U.S. upfront is nearly complete. They've closed the vast majority of the deals with the major agencies. They say we're pleased with the results, which are consistent with our goal to roughly double ads revenue this year. And of course, we hope to learn more about the success of that ads business in the call, which starts at 4:45 p.m. Eastern. Back over.
Okay, so some of you guys are saying they're going to split their shares during the call. I mean, maybe that could happen. Netflix tends to disclose other stuff during the call. So yeah, I mean, like that is possible. That would be nice. I don't know if they will. I'm not betting on it, but ultimately, we're going to see on the call. Bitcoin right here, 118, Ethereum 33.98. Do we have any other earnings besides IBKR and Netflix? I think that's it, right? Yeah, that's it. Netflix and IBKR. I'm going to try to get IBKR numbers, try to go deeper into that. That'll give us some context on what Robinhood will pull up in Q2. Particularly, I want to know about their margin balances. Last time I think it was like 64 billion. If that went up dramatically, then we know margin across the board is being expanding for all these brokerages. Okay, so let's look at IBKR. Let's look at this one. So, commission revenue 27%. That's up year over year. Net interest income 860 million. Other fees 62 million. Execution fees 1% up 116 million. Total equity of 18.5 billion. Customer accounts are up 32% year over year. Customer equity up 34%. They have 665 billion AUM. Robinhood has 255. And IBKR is international, right? It's been around for a long time. So again, Robinhood is slowly catching up to the incumbents. Total darts up 49% year over year. That's daily trades, so 3.5 million trades. Customer credits up 143 billion, 34%, and margin loans 65 billion. So IBKR is given 65 billion of margin. That's up 18% year over year. And then we already saw they beat on revenue and EPS. Revenue again was 1.4 billion, and EPS was 51 cents. I mean, not a bad quarter. Not a bad quarter. Oh boy, SBET. No. Maybe yes, because it's green. 5 billion of dilution. Well, it's starting to go red. There she goes. I don't. Oh my gosh, bro. Oh my goodness. SBET already diluted by 70 million shares back in June. That's when the stock was, wait for it. That's when the stock was 124. It went down to 9, made a 4x to 36 right now. And now they just diluted. I don't know how low this one goes with a $5 billion offering. That's down 3% after hours. That's a little ugly, folks. That's a little ugly on SBET. Well, we definitely know there's going to be 5 billion worth of Ethereum being bought on SBET. I mean, because of SBET. Is BMNR down because of this? BMNR is flat. This is more of an SBET thing, down 4%. Dude, it's kind of crazy because yesterday I was seeing these crazy screenshots of SBET. People were, I mean, I told you guys, someone shared a screenshot to me. They're up like $700,000 on SBET. I mean, it could go away as quick, right? It's the nature of the markets, especially on these very volatile names. Now, granted, if you bought it like $9, you're fine. But, you know, if you bought at some more aggressive levels, then you kind of got to deal with it. Now, granted, this is not the most bearish thing in the world, because what are they going to do? They're going to take that money and they're going to buy Ethereum. And if Ethereum keeps going up, eventually the premium will come up. I mean, this is what we saw with MicroStrategy, right? So it's not literally the most bearish thing in the world. It's just, it's a lot of money they're diluting by. It's a lot of money they are diluting by. It's very bullish for ETH. That is correct. It is very bullish for ETH. Where is Netflix? Are we still down? We're down about 1%. Trying to recover a little bit, but still down about 1%. It's up after hours. Are we moving? Okay, it's recovering. It's not up yet. It's still down 1%, but it's not down 4%. It went to 33. Now it's at 36. I mean, look, if SBET can survive a $5 billion shelf offering, that just means that they are training the shareholders. They're conditioning the shareholders. Same thing with BMNR, to be okay with dilution for future gains, aka short-term pain for long-term gains, right? If you believe in Ethereum, and if you're in these Ethereum treasuries, that's ultimately what you kind of have to believe in. So that's what you got. That's what you got. At what valuation? So they can choose when it's at the money, right? Let me see. Is it at the money? If it's at the money, they can dump this 5 billion of shares whenever they want. Same thing with Tom Lee. He had a 2 billion offering. He could dump it whenever he wants. Twitter's bugging out. Twitter's not even letting me search anything. Okay, now it's there. 5 billion of common stock. Yeah, I think it's at the money. Yep, at the money. It's at the money. They can do it at whatever period they want. Yeah, Black Sky diluted as well. That's correct. Dude, honestly, bro, the Ethereum treasuries are getting so much momentum. I don't know if this matters. I mean, like, people might just overlook it. They might just not care. So it could be one of those things where it's bullish for them because they can buy more Ethereum. People will buy their shares. And if they buy their shares, we will see a bid on Ethereum, which will also help the broader net asset value on SBET, BMNR, et cetera. Here's IBKR CEO. Let's see what he has to say about their earnings.
While seeing a 32% jump in customer accounts. Now, that's a key number for investors. You can see those shares are up 3.5%. And joining me now in exclusive interview is Thomas Petterfy, Interactive Brokers founder and chairman. Thomas, it's great to have you back on the show. Welcome.
It's great to be here. It's great to announce a fantastic quarter. We are announcing 51 cents per share per hour.
By the way, guys, this guy's worth $50 billion. the guy you're looking at, right? He owns like 80% of IBKR. I mean, he just he's one of the biggest billionaires that no one knows about, but he's worth $50 billion, and he built a great company.
Or newly 4-for-1 split shares. Our revenues hit a record of $1.48 billion for the quarter. And for the very first time, our profits exceed $1 billion for the quarter. And as you said, accounts were up 32%, customer equity 34%, customer credits 34%, daily average revenue trades 49%. These are all records. The only thing that was not a record was our margin loans, which is not so bad because after all, margin loans always carry some danger. So with the exception of these margin loans, everything is a new record.
What do you attribute that to, especially since this past quarter we saw so much volatility in the market?
Well, that's part of the reason for the great records. But it's an extremely favorable environment for interactive brokers and most other financial firms.
The last time you were on with me, which was after your last earnings report back in April, you had just called a market bottom, and you were right to do that. I wonder what you think about the market now, I guess the stock market, as we do see an S&P and a NASDAQ both trading at record highs.
So I basically do not see any dark clouds in the horizon. As a matter of fact, I can't think of anything that will stop this rally. I expect this rally to continue for the next 2 or 3 years.
What do you think powers it from here? Especially as we talk about earnings, we talk about...
Sorry, guys, I got it wrong. He's not worth $50 billion. He's worth $70 billion. So there you go. You build a big company, you own a good chunk of it, you get to be rewarded with the fruits of your labor.
Perhaps more than I can remember ever doing, talking about this intersection of Washington and policy and investor flows. Do you expect that to continue to drive things forward?
Absolutely. So the Trump policies are very favorable for equities, and especially the doing away of all the barriers to business. Less regulation, more incentives to save and invest are very, very favorable.
In terms of the activity you have seen across the platform, and I realize we've talked about this previously too, but there has been this divergence this year between retail investors, sophisticated individual investors, and some of the big institutional players. And retail has certainly seemed to power the market higher here. I wonder what you attribute that divergence to.
So I think that the institutional investors vary. They scared each other about the trade policies. So they are all left behind, and the retail and the sophisticated individuals, they continued buying. As a matter of fact, almost every day we see net buying on at Interactive Brokers. And I think that these institutional investors are left behind, and they will still have to catch up. And that has a great firepower that is still to come.
You have a crypto trading platform within Interactive Brokers. We just saw this stablecoin deal make its way through the House. It's now headed to the White House. 2 other bills that are headed to the Senate. What are you seeing in terms of crypto activity on the site, and what do you expect regulation or clear rules of the road to enable from this point forward?
Well, from everything we hear, the regulations will be favorable. And so that means that there'll be more and more crypto trading.
Of course, I have to ask you about the predictions markets as well, because I know that's been an area.
All right, so that's what we got from the IBKR founder. Yes, they could get into the S&P 500 as well. I mean, look, folks, they maybe the committee picks IBKR over Hood in September. That is very possible. IBKR is a larger company. Are they? I think their market cap is larger. Hood's at 97. IBKR is at no. Hood is the same as IBKR. IBKR is at 100. Hood's at 97. But I guess I would say from a perception perspective, IBKR is more respected than Robinhood, just because they're more international, more people think they're safe, yada yada. I mean, who knows? Maybe they get in over Hoodie. So we're gonna see in September. Yeah, they're huge internationally. Granted, I don't know. If you're going to pick a finance name between Hood and IBKR, obviously I'm biased, but I also think Robinhood's growth and execution proves that they deserve to be one of the top 500 companies in America. But the committee will make that decision. Rock Lab right here, 51.33. That is down a little bit. SBET is still down, but not really getting hit that bad after a 5. Like, the fact that it's not tanking 15% means that investors are getting ready to be conditioned to the constant dilution for the buying of ETH by these companies. And then they're just trusting that it'll be a MicroStrategy of Ethereum long term. So, I mean, this is actually really bullish for SBET for it not to be tanking after that offering. BMNR is actually up a little bit, 1.6% after hours. Webull is moving, 1.73. Our boy Kris just tweeted about Webull. Kris, again, is he's the reason I was even interested in this. Here's what he tweeted right here. This is how I'm feeling right now. Who knows, man? Maybe she pops to 20. Maybe she does. Maybe she does. And if she does, if you're in it, then you get some gains. Again, I just feel more comfortable. Personally, I just feel more comfortable being in Hood. And I had covered calls at 14.50 anyway. So if it goes above that, it's not like I would have, it's not like I was letting those shares ride naked. And if it got to 20, I would be up $6 times 1,000 shares, up 6,000. It's like, no, I'd have these freaking covered calls to worry about. So let's see. If it pumps, it pumps. If it doesn't, then it is what it is. Yeah, Kris sold 80% of, I think Kris sold either 80% of it or most of it. So the Yorkville stuff was just way too bearish for him, and he got out of it. S&P 500 right here, 628. That's green after hours. The Q's 561. Netflix, again, really not getting hit that bad after hours. I mean, it's holding on. Let's get a little bit more coverage right here on Netflix. And then their call will be starting, I believe, in 15 minutes. And then we'll see what they have to say.
Will over the next 3 years. I bet you they can keep that doubling or high double-digit growth rate for ad revenue for the next couple of years. So I think that's the real big bull case. But you're still starting with a really small base. Look, this is a very good Netflixian print. They've got the strongest content slate out there. Our survey shows that consumers have consistently rated this as the #1 streaming service, and the lead seems to be widening. I know there's some wonderful hits on other networks like Love Island that's popular in the Mahaney household, but outside of that, the content is really gapping up. The content leadership is really gapping up at Netflix. I think it will continue to do so. There's a kind of a snowball to Netflix. The more subscribers they have, the more revenue they have, the more they can spend on content. The lead is going to widen. That's why you want to be long Netflix. And the free cash flow is starting to ramp up too.
It's interesting because in your report ahead of this print, you did call out the fact that Netflix should benefit from a significant sequential FX tailwind. Julia just talked about that too. Does that continue?
But probably, and I don't think you could get a lot of credit from investors for, beating numbers based on FX. And that's why you don't have a big pop in the stock. But it's a subscription business. So you rarely get big pops in the revenues. Where you get the surprises is in the sub numbers. But of course, they don't disclose that anymore. So then where the real surprise comes in is in the operating income. And they keep showing this leverage. One question that I know is going to come up in that callback with management is, why did you only raise margins for the full year to 29.5% from 29%? That's not a huge increase, and you're running in the first half of the year well north of 30%. What are you going to be spending that money on in the back half of the year, or are you just being dramatically conservative? I don't know what the answer to that is, but I think that's the #1 question that I would think of going into that management call in a few minutes.
It's interesting to hear you say that because we've seen it in recent quarters where Netflix bottom line is growing at a faster rate than the top line. So perhaps getting back to that point.
Yeah, I think that's right. So why is that? Because it's a successful subscription business that can keep showing leverage against marketing costs. And then they've got this content flywheel, and they're going to keep raising their content spend. We're going to go from 17 to 18 to 19 to $20 billion a year. It's just that the revenue growth is growing faster than that content spend. So there's still inherent leverage in the model. But by the way, they have the right to dip in and aggressively go after some live event rights, sports rights, if those come up. And I would imagine they would look for that opportunity. That's probably what they're doing with their second half guidance. They probably want to give themselves the firepower to go after a big sports deal, live events deal, if it shows up. And if it doesn't, investors will see that margin flow through. It'll be higher than what they're guiding to.
Okay.
All right, so this call is going to decide if Netflix can turn this around. And when I mean turn this around, I mean maybe get a pump after hours. I mean, it's down 1%. Again, it's just like the street doesn't really have a reaction that's positive or negative on this. They kind of just don't care. Stocks trading at all-time highs, you're going to tend to get, or not all-time highs, but very close to all-time highs, you're going to tend to get heavy scrutiny. They would have to say something that's a game changer for either the content of Netflix, like the story of the content, or from a procedural perspective around the stock, aka a split, that would really get people excited. If none of those, then I don't know. Feels like or maybe like a UFC deal or something, like really, they're expanding their partnership with the WWE, with the NFL, something like that. And they did that last time on the call, so maybe this time, but we got to see. Where is MicroStrategy? That one's flat after hours. Rocket Lab's flat. Qs are flat. S&P's flat. Black Sky, that's down 25% based on dilution. Bitcoin 119, Ethereum 3,400, Webull 1465, Palantir 154 after hours. Again, we got 155 today on Palantir. Robinhood up a little bit after hours, 105.5 as well. The only news on Grab today was that in Malaysia, there is going to be some regional consolidation because 2 of their competitors are getting kicked out due to basically fraud. So the Malaysian government is kicking them out of the country, and that should be bullish for Grab. But in general, I mean, look, here's the news on Grab, right? As soon as I get on Twitter, as I open it up in a different tab, this is what I see. This is what I see. It's just more and more people talking about this thing. That's the argument. It's more and more people. Does anyone like Grab? I'm off my desk. The weekly and monthly chart is pretty tight. Does someone want to post it for me? And there's just more and more people asking these types of questions from a TA and fundamental perspective. So I think just more people are starting to get a bit more interested in the story. Grab right here, 529 after hours. BitMine, that's up 3.5% after hours. That one's moving. Is SBET moving at all? That one is still only down 1%. Where's IBKR? That one is up 5%. That one is up 5% currently right now. So we got the call in about 10 minutes, and then we're going to see what happens there. How did Zeta do today? Zeta, I think it popped in, 6%. So that one's doing okay. That's up another 1% after hours. Oscar was the one that just really got hit, down 10%, up a little bit after hours. I really don't know why Oscar got hit this much, because you would expect UNH to get hit a little harder, and it didn't. It was only down 1.5. And Lemonade was green. So I feel like it's a very specific Oscar thing. Then we had Joby. Amazing day on Joby, dude. 8% up. Archer got some sympathy love off that as well. Never mind. Doesn't look like sympathy. I mean, if 10% is sympathy, I'll take it. But Archer I guess Archer, there was no fundamental news on Archer, so it definitely moved because of Joby. But it didn't get a 1 or 2%. It got 10%. So the entire eVTOL sector, 74 million shares traded today on Archer. Got some love. Got some love today. Yes, there you go. CRN. Did I say it again? Okay, see. Dude, it's just... currently right now, it's got to be something one day. I don't know if it's a brand or a podcast, but it's got to be something. Whoa, I didn't see this. Thank you for this, Cactus Jack. BM&R Thomas Lee has purchased 4,500 shares at 44 a share. Holy crap. That's probably why BM&R is running. Tom Lee's buying at 45. Yeah, look at this. Tom Lee's buying not at 450. He bought 2 million at 450. I mean, folks, he's putting his money where his mouth is. You cannot say he's not putting his money where his mouth is. 200 grand. That might not be a ton of money for Tom Lee, but still, BM&R is 10x'd, and he's buying it after it's 10x'd. This guy's serious, bro. He's like really trying to pull a MicroStrategy of Ethereum. I mean, what a pivot from him, dude. I mean, he's still doing his thing as a fund strat research guy, but I mean, like, this is straight up. He's going for something much bigger here on Ethereum. And again, his basic thesis is stablecoins are a $250 billion market. They're going to be $2 trillion in a decade if 30% of those gas fees go to Ethereum, not to mention all the other use cases of Ethereum, which we will have deep dive on Ethereum next Wednesday. Also, we're going to do a MicroStrategy deep dive on Thursday. I finally connected with Jeff Walton. Some of you guys in the MSTR community might know that guy. So you're going to have 2 deep dives next week that'll make up for no deep dive this week, MicroStrategy and Ethereum. Next week, we will do those deep dives. MicroStrategy on Thursday, Ethereum on Wednesday. And we'll try to get deeper into the thesis. BMNR right here up 2.6% after hours. 2.6% after hours. So there you go. There you go. Okay, cool. So Netflix call is going to be in about 5 minutes. So we'll pull that up in a second. Yeah, Jeff Walton. His Twitter is, I'll link his Twitter. His Twitter is Punter Jeff. That's his @ name. From my understanding, this guy's like a legend in the MicroStrategy community. So yeah, we finally connected. And so we'll be talking. Okay, what else? BBAI is that one. That one had a great move today, up 15%. That one's flat after hours. UNH down a little bit. Oscar up a little bit after hours. Grab at 529, and then Netflix basically recovering, guys. It was at 1274, dipped to 1250. Now it's at 1271. It's down $3. I mean, if they say anything good on this call, maybe we can get a move. If not, then we're gonna have to see. Here's David Sachs tweeting about the big bill on crypto. Genius Act 307 to 122, Clarity Act 294 to 134. Dude, who voted against this stuff? Who voted? Like what representatives in Congress are voting against this shit? Like, I just want to know. Like, all of them are just like, it's just so annoying that we have representatives that are not at all thinking about the future of our economy, which will be intertwined with crypto. I mean, this should be completely bipartisan. Completely bipartisan. Okay, so while we're waiting for Netflix in about 5 minutes, let's get a little bit more macro coverage right here, and then we will keep going from there. Now, this guest, I believe, tends to be a bit more bearish, so let's see if he has a bearish tone, if he's giving us a little bit of a bear case, or if he's riding with the bulls. Here we go.
Aren't so perfect. Well, let's ask Unlimited CEO and CIO, Bob Elliott. Bob, it's great to have you back on the show, and let's start right there. Why do you think we're priced to perfection here?
Well, if you take a look at what's priced in for equity earnings over the course of the next 12 to 18 months, you're looking at, double-digit or better earnings expectations. And bond yields at these levels continue to price in relatively strong growth over time and cuts in the short term. And so you put that together, and in order to achieve the outcomes expected across these markets, we're going to have almost a perfect combination of very strong growth and very little inflation that allow the Fed to ease, a combination of which is challenging to see when you see the hard data showing, in many ways, the opposite of those two trends.
So you don't think we're out of the woods in terms of tame inflation and tariff impact?
Well, if anything, we're just getting started with a tariff impact. And in fact, the collected tariff revenue, at least through May, which is when we have comprehensive data, was only about 8% when the announcement.
Guys, I got to stop the clip. I just came across a piece of news. One of you guys said it in the chat. I just Googled it to see if it's real. I was going to say the F word, but I'm going to stop. I cannot freaking believe this is real, but I guess it's real. This is the official press release. A company called BitOrigin is raising $500 million in convertible debt to launch the company's Dogecoin treasury. I want to say it's not 2021. I really want to say it's not 2021. Like, I spent all morning making the argument for why it's not. What is going on, dude? BitOrigin, the stock, BTOG, was up 90% today. I don't think any of you guys saw this in the market opener. If you did, I just didn't see your comments in the chat. BitOrigin, 63 cents, market cap's 37 million. It's down 10% after hours. It's up 90% this morning. What is going on? Like, this is not, like, is this bullet? Like, what did the CEO say? Hold on. What, like, I get the ETH treasury, I get the Bitcoin, I even get the Solana treasury. I don't know if I get the Dogecoin one. BitOrigin is evolving beyond mining infrastructure to engage directly in the value and utility of digital assets. What started as a joke has evolved into a globally liquid asset with payments utility. Few digital assets rival Doge's settlement speed. Are you kidding me? And scale of community, which continues to drive adoption across peer-to-peer and online commerce. If they had even done this for XRP, I wouldn't have an issue. At least XRP, you have cross-border settlement. Like there's a thesis there. Who the hell uses Dogecoin? Oh, no way did they say this. We hope Doge's performance and community make it a natural fit for X money as Elon Musk advances his vision for X as a global super app. They're betting that Elon's going to pump Doge. Yeah, why don't we start a Fartcoin treasury? Why don't I raise 500 million and buy Fartcoin at that point? Why not? By the way, Fartcoin was up 30% today, for those that are wondering. Or sorry, it was up 7% today, but it basically hit all-time highs at 145. So, I mean, why not? Why not? Again, I don't want to say a Dogecoin treasury is hurting Nvidia's earnings, but it definitely just feels like it feels off. It feels off. The stock was up 90% today. That other company that raised 500 million for a Bitcoin treasury, VLCN, that stock was up 350%. It ended the day up 135%. Market cap is only 11 million, and the stock is down 7% after hours. Yeah, and Doge is flat, bro. Doge isn't even moving. I mean, like, Doge, like, you got someone raising 500 million to buy Dogecoin, and because again, Dogecoin has like 1 trillion coins in supply, so buying 500 million is not even gonna really make that meaningful of a difference. I don't know, dude. This is weird. This is weird. Brian says I just bought 100 shares of it. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Dude, if the Ethereum divine picture that Tom Lee tweeted yesterday, that felt like a top signal to me, not in the context of the market topping. It just felt toppy. And this Doge thing feels toppy. Again, I don't think that breaks NVIDIA earnings, but if the whole market's topping, obviously a lot of these stocks are going to take a little bit of breather, which is okay. That's healthy. Now, July, again, tends to be up for the past 10 years, up on average 1.2%. We are up in July, so August could be a little bit of a breather, which would be okay. But if we blast through that, if we have a really good Q2 on earnings, then maybe we don't have to see that August pain. Netflix, they'll be starting very soon. They're not live yet. They should be starting in about a minute. And we'll see what Netflix says. We'll see what Netflix says. Are we flat after hours on Netflix? Netflix. Yeah, it's literally, it's down 0.5%. So ultimately, they're going to have to announce something here that gets people excited. I mean, if Elon does make Dogecoin part of X payments, you got 600 million people potentially. I mean, I can give you a bull case for Doge. I just can't believe they found investors to raise money to go out and start a Doge treasury. That's the part that's a bit more confusing to me. It's a bit more confusing to me. S-Bets green after hours. That's correct. All right, here we go. We're starting.
Good afternoon and welcome to Netflix Q2 2025 earnings interview. I'm Spencer Wong, VP of Finance, IR, and Corporate Development. Joining me today are co-CEOs Peters and CFO Spence Newman. As a reminder, we'll be making some actual statements and actual results may vary. We'll take questions submitted by the analyst community.
Why is there an audio double? Hold on. I can't. Where the hell is the other audio coming from here? That's being weird. Where's this echo? No, my mic is muted, guys. It was muted. Where is this? Why is it playing twice? This is being weird. Hold on. Let me try this again.
Is this due to a better underlying revenue submitted by the analyst community, and we will begin coming in our results and our forecast. The first question comes from
I will take
Steve.
that one. Thanks, Steve. So, as you saw on the letter, we increased our full year revenue guidance to 44.8 to 42 billion. That's up from the.
Guys, this is not me. This is. What the heck is happening here? That's not me, dude. I don't have any other tabs open. I have no other tabs open. I promise I have no other tabs open. I don't have anything else open. So I don't know where this is coming from. There's no other freaking. Am I not seeing other tabs on my screen? No, there's no other tabs open. It's not me, right? It's not me. Hold on, let me check my other. I had 0 tabs. Netflix. It's on their end. Hold on, let me see. It's on my other computer, showing it doubled, and it's not. No, I think it's me. All right, I'm gonna stream this from my other computer right now. That is so weird. All right, hold on. I need 1 second. It's definitely me. It's being stupid, but give me 1 second. It's just being really dumb right now. I'm sorry. It's being stupid. It's being stupid. I don't know why the hell. I need a second. I don't know why it's echoing, dude. It's either StreamYard or something. It's not. It's being really dumb. And I need a second. Let me change the mic on my end. And why is this being so dumb, bro? Why is this? You can hear me now, though, right? You can hear my voice? You can hear my voice? Yes. Can we hear my voice? All right, hold on 1 sec. We're going to try to fix this in a second. Give me a minute. Give me 1 sec. And we will get in here. You sound fine? Okay, cool. All right, here we go. I'm sharing on my other screen, and this should work. All right, here we go. This should work. Let me know if it doesn't work.
Including Q4. And as just noted, we expect to deliver strong full-year margins as we just took up our guide to 29.5% FX neutral, 30% reported.
Great. Thanks, Spence. The next question comes from Piper Sandler. How has your view of the consumer and the macro economy changed over the last 90 days?
Similar to last quarter, we're carefully watching consumer sentiment in the broader economy. But at this point, really nothing significant to note in the metrics and the indicators that we get directly through the business. Those are retention that remains stable and industry leading. There have been no significant shifts in plan mix or plan take rate. And the price changes we've done since the last quarter have been in line with expectations. Engagement also remains healthy. So things all look stable from those indicators, and big picture, entertainment in general and Netflix specific have been historically pretty resilient in tougher economic times. We also think that we are at an incredible entertainment value, not only compared to traditional entertainment, but if you think about other streaming competitors, when we start at $7.99 in the United States, and you think about all the entertainment you get, we have a belief and expectation that the demand for not only entertainment, but for us specifically will remain strong.
Thanks, Greg. I think it's a nice follow-up to this question will be on advertising. So from Ben Swinburne of Morgan Stanley, can you share any data points around your upfront negotiations?
Yep. As we noted in the letter, our U.S. upfront, it's nearly complete. We've closed the large majority of deals with the major agencies. Those results have generally been in line or slightly better than our targets and consistent with our goal to roughly double the ads business this year. And what are advertisers excited about? Growing scale is something we definitely hear. Also a highly attentive and engaged audience. So bigger audience, but also an audience that's more engaged relative to our peers. The rollout of our own ad tech stack, which helps deliver a bunch of features. And then our slate, which is generally amazing and includes a growing number of live events that advertisers are excited about.
Great. Follow-up question on advertising from Vikram of Baird. How have advertisers in the U.S. responded to the Netflix ad suite rollout since the April launch? What features and capabilities are attracting the most interest? And how is the initial feedback in other regions outside of the U.S.?
We've completed the rollout of our own ads tech stack, the Netflix ad suite, to all of our ad markets now. So we're fully on our own stack around the world at this point. That rollout was generally smooth across all countries. We see good performance metrics across all countries, and the early results are in line with our expectations. Now we're in this phase of learning and improving quickly based on the fact that being live everywhere means that you get a bunch of feedback about what we can do better, which is great. As we mentioned before, the most immediate benefit from this rollout is just making it easier for advertisers to buy on Netflix. We hear that benefit, that ease from direct feedback, talking to advertisers. They tell us that it's easier. We see it in our overall sales performance. We've seen it in increased programmatic buying. So all of these are consistent, with what we were expecting, both qualitatively and from a metrics perspective. We're also, I guess, worth noting that we're going to roll out additional demand sources like Yahoo. That'll further open up the market for us. Long-term, being on our own stack, that improves the speed of our execution to deliver this, pretty significant roadmap of features that we have in front of us. It's things like improved targeting and measurement. There's also leveraging advertiser and third-party data sources, which we definitely hear demand for as well. And it will ultimately allow us to improve the ad experience for our members, which is critically important. So that means better ads personalization. So the ads that I see are increasingly different from the ads that, let's say, Ted would see, and they're more relevant for each of us, which is good for us as users, and it's good for the brands. We're also going to be introducing interactivity in the second half of the year, so that's exciting. So that's all to say this is, a pretty significant milestone for us, one we're super excited to get behind us, because now we can shift into this steady release cycle where we're dropping new features all the time, both for advertisers and for members. And that's the development and release model that we have in other parts of the business. So it's fun to be able to get to that point.
Thanks, Greg. I'll move us along now to a set of questions around content as well as engagement. This one comes from Ben Swinburne of Morgan Stanley. 1% engagement growth year over year suggests engagement is down year over year on an average per member basis. How do we reconcile that with engagement growing on a per member household basis, if that's still accurate?
So total view hours did grow a bit in the first half 25, and that's despite a particularly back half weighted slate. But to your point on engagement on a per member basis, we've mostly been focused for the last few years on measuring engagement on what we call an owner household basis. So this takes out the borrower effect. And we obviously think this is the best way to assess our engagement per member because it removes the tricky comparison impacts from paid sharing. So that metric, per owner household engagement, has been relatively steady over the past 2.5 years throughout the rollout of paid sharing and amidst increasing competition for TV time as more viewing moves to streaming and gets this on-demand benefit. So we're glad to have held that normalized engagement level, but we clearly also want to increase it. And to that end, we're optimistic and expect that our engagement growth in the second half of this year will be better than in the first half, given our strong second half slate.
Thanks, Greg. Great segue to Doug Anmuth's question from JP Morgan. The content in the back half of the year looks strong, with Squid Game 3 already the third most popular non-English series ever, and Wednesday and Stranger Things releasing in the coming months. You often say that no single title drives more than 1% of total viewing. So how do you think about the business currently as being quote unquote hit boosted or hit driven? And are you confident that both original and licensed content momentum can continue in 2026?
Yeah, I'll take that. And thank you, Doug. On the first part of your question, we're definitely riding this long-term trend of linear to streaming, and that has a natural adoption curve. But we can accelerate our growth with big hits. But as you said, each one of them, even in success, is going to drive about 1% of total viewing. So you need a lot more than just a big hit every once in a while. So to your point, it's not about the single hit. So what it is about a steady drumbeat of shows and films and soon enough games that our members really love and continue to expect from us. So like by way of example, we had 44 individual shows nominated for Emmys this year. So that's what quality at scale looks like. We ended the quarter with a huge return of Squid Game. Thanks for acknowledging. Go into the second half with the return of Wednesday and Stranger Things, and a really strong slate of supporting titles and favorites and new shows. Like this week we had Eric Bana's Untamed. Next week we have Leanne Morgan's new comedy show, Leanne. Both look really great, and that's just to name a few. And the back half of the year also has perhaps the most anticipated slate of new movies that we've ever had. That starts on the 25th with Happy Gilmore 2. Followed by, we have a new Knives Out film. We have new films from Noah Baumbach, from Guillermo del Toro, from Catherine Bigelow. And it does not stop there. It does roll right into 2026. And that's the second part of your question. And we're looking forward to movies like The Rip from Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. Charlize Theron's new movie called Apex, which is a phenomenal action movie. Millie Bobby Brown is back in Enola Holmes 3. Recall that in 2023, Enola Holmes was our biggest, 2 was our biggest movie. So we're looking forward to that new sequel. And Greta Gerwig's Narnia is going to be phenomenal. And then on top of that, we talk about return of Bridgerton, One Piece, Avatar: The Last Airbender, all 3 huge successes around the world. The Gentleman, Four Seasons, Running Point, Beef, which, as you recall, in 2023, won just about every award imaginable and was a gigantic success for us. It's back for a new season in 26. Three Body Problem, Love is Blind, Outer Banks, and not just from the U.S., from France, we have Lupin. From Spain, we have Berlin. We have a new season of 100 Years of Solitude from Colombia. So big hit returning shows and new series from each of our regions around the world. And the new stuff we've got coming up, like Man on Fire, reimagining of Little House on the Prairie. The Duffer Brothers from Stranger Things have a brand new show, The Burrows. We've got Human Vapor from Japan, Operation Saffron Cigar from India. Can This Love Be Translated from Korea? So again, popular programming, new and returning from all over the world in 2026. Unscripted shows like the reboot of Star Search. We've got Into the Doll universe with Wonka's Golden Ticket, which we're really excited about. And in our live, we've got a few surprises for you next year. But of course, we have our NFL Christmas Day doubleheader that we're really thrilled about too. So we're really incredibly excited about the back half of this year and confident that it keeps rolling in 26.
Thank you, Ted. We'll take the next question from Rich Greenfield of Lightshed Partners, who asks, are you concerned by the stagnation in your viewing share domestically? I think Rich is probably referring to the Nielsen Gauge data. Do you need to spend more on programming or spend differently to materially move your viewing share higher?
Yeah, thanks, Rich. Look, our goal continues to be to continue to grow our share over the long term. And over the past few years, you're right, we've been able to maintain our share even as we work through a growing number of TV-based streaming services, some free, some paid, and the impact of paid sharing that Greg mentioned earlier, as well as this 2025 slate that was more back half weighted than we typically have in previous years. But over the long term, we tend to keep growing as the other 50% of TV viewing migrates from linear to streaming. And we'll do that by doing what we've always done, continuously improve the service. So keep in mind, since 2020, our content amort has grown more than 50%, from under $11 billion to more than $16 billion that we expect to do this year. And over that same time period, we definitely we saw increased spending, but also increased engagement, increased revenue, increased profit, and increased profit margin. So that's our model in action. It is our objective to sustain healthy revenue growth, reinvest in the business to improve on all aspects of the service. And that includes growing content spend, strengthening and expanding the entertainment offering, and to drive that positive flywheel of growth by adding value to our members, and all the while growing engagement, revenue, and profit around the world.
Great. Thank you, Ted. I'll move to Alan Gould from Loop Capital next. Can you provide more information on the TF1 partnership? Why did you choose to add TF1 in France as opposed to other broadcasters as your first partner? Why is now the right time to create such a partnership? Should we anticipate similar partnerships in other countries?
Yeah, perhaps just start with the rationale for the partnership. You would think with that long list of amazing titles that Ted just rattled off, we would have enough to satisfy every person on the planet. But it turns out we actually consistently hear from our members that they want more. They want more variety, more breadth of content. So the fundamental purpose for this TF1 partnership is all about that goal of expanding our entertainment offering. How do we enhance the value we deliver to members? We want to provide more content, more variety, more quality. So just as you've seen us do with licensing and production, this is just another mechanism to expand that offering. And in this case, it's specifically about highly relevant local for local content in a country that has strong demand for that local content. And this is an accelerated way to satisfy that need. Why now? Why was this time the right time? Well, we've invested a lot in a bunch of enabling capabilities that are either required or highly leveraged by this deal. You can think live, ads, the new UI, among other things. And then why TF1 versus some other partner? Well, we know each other really well. We wanted our first partner to be in a big territory. We wanted to pick the leading local programmer. We wanted to be highly aligned in terms of the deal and the shape of the partnership and the values that we thought we could generate mutually by working together for our customers. And we both look at this as an opportunity to learn, to figure out how do we scale the local content that TF1 is producing to more customers in France. So we're looking forward to seeing what consumers think. You never really know until you get out there and get the real reactions. And then obviously we'll factor that into our plans going forward.
Thanks, Greg. From Robert Fishman of MoffettNathanson, with reports suggesting Apple is now in the driver's seat for F1 rights. Haha, pun intended, I guess. Plus UFC and MLB still looking for new deals, and the NFL may be looking to come to market a year earlier. Can you share updated thoughts on how you are approaching sports rights for Netflix and where you draw the line on something that can move the needle?
Well, thanks for that, Robert. Remember, sports are a subcomponent of our live strategy, but our live strategy goes beyond sports alone. Our live strategy and our sports strategy are unchanged. We remain focused on ownable, big breakthrough events because our audiences really love them. Anything we chase in the event space or in the sports space has got to make economic sense as well. We bring a lot to the table, and the deals that we make have to reflect that. So live is a relatively small part of the total content spend, and we've got about 200 billion view hours. So it's a pretty small part of view hours as well right now. But that being said, not all view hours are equal. And what we've seen with live has an outsized positive impacts around conversation, around acquisition, and we suspect around retention. So right now we're very excited where we sit. We're very excited with the existing strategy. We're excited about the Canelo Crawford fight in September and the SAG Awards and our weekly WWE matches. And the NFL, of course, which is a great property. And we're happy to have Christmas Day doubleheader, which includes Dallas versus Washington and Detroit versus Minnesota. So today our live events have all primarily been in the US, keep in mind. So over time, we're going to continue to invest and grow our live capabilities for events around the world in the years ahead. So we're excited, but the strategy is unchanged.
Thanks, Ted. Good follow-up question on that one from Steve Cahall of Wells Fargo. What investments have you made to increase your capabilities in producing live events? What have you been?
All right, I think that's it. If anyone really wants to keep going, you can go to Netflix's YouTube channel. I'll put it in the chat. Let me know if the audio is okay or if the audio is being weird. Hopefully audio is not being weird. But yeah, guys, that was just boring. I mean, there's nothing. I mean, they're not talking business, bro. They're talking all this random content stuff. And I'm like, I don't really care what new seasons are coming out. I care if you're splitting the stock or not. And they're not splitting the stock. We're not going to get a stock split. They would have announced it by now. So it's down 1%. Now, the question is, does this dump in the morning? That's the question. I don't know. I mean, tomorrow, generally, if the market is bearish, we could. Again, it got to 13. What did it get to? It got to 1340, 52-week high. So it's not literally at all-time highs, but it's very close. If it does dump, I think the street buys that dip if it gets a 5% dump. But nothing in this quarter is a reason to dump at all. Nothing in this quarter is a reason to massively buy. So to me, I expect flat movement, if not down 1 or 2%. but I could definitely see it dumping 5% just because people didn't get the quarter they wanted and they sell it off. So, yeah, I'll hold on to the 10 shares, not doing anything crazy with that. But the real news after hours is crypto, folks. Bitcoin, there you go, back to 120. All three pieces of legislation are passed through Congress, including the Genius Act. SBET filed for $6 billion worth of buying Ethereum. Tom Lee bought 4,500 shares of BMNR at 44. I mean, you are getting a good amount of crypto news after hours, which is helping Bitcoin. XRP is at all-time highs, and the XRP cult is going to probably take this even higher. 339 right here. That's up 11% after hours. Ethereum's moving after hours. And then Bitcoin. Oh, yeah, and this piece of news right here just now that broke. Trump to open 401k market to crypto, gold, and private equity. So the private equity part to me is a little iffy because there's a bubble in private equity. And we all know there's a bubble in private equity. There's a lot of just bullshit in private equity that needs to be dumped somewhere. And maybe retail ends up embracing some of it. So you just got to be selective with what private equity investments you want to get into. But the crypto as a part of your 401k, I mean, that is why I think there is a legitimate pushback against the crypto winter when every 401k, not every 401k, but you know, a significantly more 401ks than ever before have access to crypto via IBIT or whatever, you know, mechanism. It's just hard to see this thing go to zero or have a 70 or even a 50% drawdown, right? Like there would just need to be a lot of selling pressure. And 401ks grab, by the way, 527 after hours, sharp link right here down 1.6, IBKR up 4%. A lot of 401ks don't tend to sell. You literally buy and hold, right? It just automatically gets invested. That's the beauty of the S&P, right? The beauty of the Max 7, they get these automatic passive inflows via the S&P every 2 weeks from 401ks. Yeah, America has a $9 trillion retirement market. That is correct. It just sits there, just sits in compounds, which is why getting into the S&P is such a big deal, because every 2 weeks you have money coming into the S&P that can buy up a slice of hopefully 500 of the best American companies that we have. So, I mean, crypto, I mean, that is absolutely a headline for why crypto should be higher here after hours. Ethereum up about 4%, Bitcoin right here up 1.6, Bitcoin back to 120. What about MSTR after hours? That is green. Hoodie, are we at 106 after hours? Hoodie's getting very close to 106 after hours. And Coin, which had a massive breakout, 413. Let me see if I can pull up some Coinbase stuff. I did not look at it all day. Let me see if Brian Armstrong tweeted some stuff, because they introduced a ton of things yesterday. And that could be very, very bullish. If you sell 2 shares of Pounder, you can get your chair replaced. I am getting a new chair. I already ordered it. It'll be for the new apartment, though, so we'll leave this chair here. It's not a bad chair, bro. Like, I know it's, like, peeling a little bit. The only issue is that this broke the other day, so, like, yeah, we got that. But outside of that, the chair itself is not the worst thing. Do we have December 2027 grab calls? Yes, I have $7 December 2027 grab calls in my Roth. Okay, so this is what Brian Armstrong tweeted yesterday. This is, I guess, one of the big things they announced yesterday. This is their new wallet, I guess. Are people... Oh, this is the social thing that I'll turn the music off. This is the social thing you guys were talking about. Okay, so people can post their, like, create, post, and earn. Is this like a Twitter? This is like an Instagram competitor? You can find your favorite apps, chat with friends. I don't know, guys. I don't know if this is just... Every time someone's built a social media competitor, they fail against the big guys. Then again, I guess if they build a community of people trading crypto and posting about it, you can buy people's posts. Okay, let's do a poll. Let's see who's bullish on this. Who's bullish on this? I don't know, dude. I like it. It's definitely something I think it's not bad for them to try. The street obviously loved it. It was up today. but I don't know if it matters that much. Okay, so Coinbase social media network, bullish or bearish? The Chad just said, can I short Amit's beta posts? Dude, imagine you can short someone's posts on this Coinbase network. Please, Robinhood, never do some stupid shit like this. I do not want people. I don't want a social network of posts that you can buy or sell. I don't think that's. Dude, the problem with here's my big issue with social media networks. How do you deal with free speech? So what if someone buys some stupid thing and then says something super like egregious that like the majority of people that are looking at that post would be like, oh, that's just like weird content. Like, does Coinbase censor it? No, because their blockchain is decentralized. You can't censor that shit. That would be completely antithetical to the concept of crypto. And Elon gets a lot of flack for leaving a lot of content on Twitter that most people would say is just like bad content you shouldn't have on the platform, but he paid $45 billion to open it up. So like what do you do when there's a free speech issue? Right? Like I've always this is why I never want Robinhood to get into this is why StockTwits, which is basically Twitter for stocks. I mean, there's some good DD there, but there's a lot of just toxicity. I would never want Robinhood to open up themselves to people just tweeting useless stuff and then like saying really disgusting things, right? Yeah, what if people post porn? I mean, like there's all this stuff, right? And then again, it's like you can't censor it. It's crypto. Like you can't censor that stuff. That's not like that the whole point is like it's anti-tyranny. Now, granted, if I posted this on the Coinbase app and Chad was on it, he probably would short it. So yesterday, Evan said Palantir just closed the day with a larger market cap than Home Depot. I said Palantir made me a man, and Home Depot is where I go to feel like a man. Thought it was a decent post. And then Chad says, you just topped your most beta tweet of all time. So I thought that was, I mean, like maybe it's a little bit of a beta tweet, but I thought it was a good response. Palantir made me a man, taught me about the world, but Home Depot is where I go on a Sunday morning to feel like a man. To feel like a man. So there you go. You could definitely short that post on Coinbase Network, but you get my point, right? There's a free speech issue. There is a free speech issue. Tanner says, well, I think it's a vote system. People would agree to pull something terrible down. No, I'm not buying that because this goes back down to the fundamental like problem of democracy. What if someone says something that is like objectively, quote unquote, I'm saying objectively in quotes because it can never be objective, like super racist, but 85% of people say it's racist. 15% of people say it's not racist. I mean, what do? You listen to the majority? Well, wait a second. That the whole point of crypto is that you don't have guardrails. And if the majority were to determine the financial structure, the financial ecosystem of global monetary payment rails, which they have for the past 100 years, you wouldn't have anything decentralized. The whole point of blockchains is to go against that. Robinhood's not asking companies if they have permission to tokenize their stocks. They're just doing it. You don't need permission. So I don't know if you can have a poll that has a majority. I don't care if it's 99% to 1. The whole point of crypto is anti-censorship, is freedom. Right? Like I don't, when you get into the social media world, it's a very tricky world. Robinhood, wow, 106.10 after hours. That's moving. BMNR up 10 per. Whoa, boy. BMNR is moving. Is Ethereum moving? Is it at 35 hundo? I think Ethereum is. Oh my goodness. Tom Lee's taking this to 10,000, folks. Tom Lee's taking this to 10,000, at least 4,000. BMNR, that's up 10%. Tom Lee did buy at 44 today. And then Bitcoin trying to get back to 120.5 or 121. It's at 120.4. 120.4. Chad stays cooking you. Yeah, if we were posting this stuff on freaking Coinbase's social network, I would get cooked. My post would get shorted. But you guys get my point, right? Like it's very complicated in a crypto blockchain decentralized world to then deal with people saying some egregious things. And people are going to say whatever the hell they want because people are crazy, right? Like people will say crazy stuff. And then buying other people's posts, isn't that just NFTs? Like we're getting back to that. You're going to buy a picture of a rock because freaking Scottie Pippen tweets it. So, Scottie Pippen NBA champion, tweets a picture of a rock. I'm going to bid that up. Like, what are we talking about? I don't know. I don't really like it. But the street loves it. So Coinbase right here, up 5% of the day. Ethereum, 35 hundo. There she goes. XRP also is moving 344. XRP 344. That's up 12.6%. That's up 12.6%. 59% of you say bearish. Coinbase social media network. Again, I don't think it's intrinsically bearish. I think the issue is when Brian Armstrong has to make a decision of what content is, quote unquote, allowed content, what does he choose? Well, he's going to be biased because he's a human being. This is why, Elon buying Twitter and pretty much leaving everything on the platform is and it's still they still have to engage in so much censorship because you just can't leave literally everything. These are tough decisions that are not easy to get done, especially not in a crypto world. S&P 500 right here, flat after hours, 628 on the day. Mr. G, thank you for the $100 super chat. I think you gave a super chat yesterday, Mr. G, for 100. Appreciate you. Thank you for the $99.99 super chat. Thank you for being part of the show and for being here. Amidst eyebrow thirst traps will go skyrocket. Well, see, maybe that's the bull case for a Coinbase social media network. Also, again, on a social media network, you need creators. You need people to be incentivized to post content. And if you tell me the incentive is that they can sell their posts, okay, so then who the hell is going to be buying my eyebrow pictures to get me to be incentivized to post on Coinbase's net? You see what this is a really complicated thing to build. This is why network effects that Facebook has on Instagram and Facebook proper and YouTube, they took decades to build, but when they built these moats, Rumble's not taking away YouTube, Blue Sky's not taking away Twitter, even Threads is not taking away Twitter. But some random new photo app is not taking away Instagram. TikTok's the only one that's realistically been able to compete, and they had the whole CCP supporting them to be able to get any level of competitive fervor with Reels or with YouTube Shorts. So I don't know. I don't know if that's going to play out. Netflix, is it that? Netflix is still flat after hours. So Netflix not moving. BitOrigin, again, this company down 7%. They were up 90% after unveiling a Dogecoin treasury, which just feels a bit weird. IBKR, that stock is still up 4.5% after hours. Wow, Hoodie's moving. She's moving on Bitcoin and Ethereum. 106.4. I mean, folks, S&P inclusion still there. Bitcoin, Ethereum moving. Volatility across the market's been good. We know Vlad's going to deliver probably 35% year-over-year growth in Q2. I mean, I think she has room. I think she has room to move. 106.3 right here after hours. Steve was on yesterday on the close. He'll not be on today. I'll probably be on tomorrow. Oh, shit. Never mind, Steve. I have a missed call from well, his text message is 3 letters. I'll let you guess what 3 letters they are, but here you go. Here's the victory lap. Here's the victory lap, folks. Of course. Of course. XRP Incorporated. Dude, I didn't even get to say hello before I hear those 3 letters. We're going to build the XRP revolution. I didn't even say hello to you. What do you Revolution. Why didn't you tell me to buy XRP last week?
I don't know why they didn't tell you to buy XRP last year or the year before or when it was under $1. I don't know.
Oh my gosh, dude. Well, your Bitcoin,
you want to talk about pounds here and all these other things. I mean, XRP, you look at the return on it, it's pretty exciting.
I mean, look, it's moving. Bitcoin's moving, Ethereum's moving, XRP is moving, everything's moving. You're not wrong here. Guys, let me know if his audio is good. Steve, you might have to just get closer to the phone.
I mean, it's up 451% a year.
That's true. It is up 451%. Oh, this is why it's not working. Sorry. Okay, now it should be working. Sorry. Okay, Steve, say something.
XRP Incorporated.
Sorry, guys, I had the wrong mic. Now it should be good. It should be good, right? Let me know if it's good. For anyone who didn't hear the last 30 seconds, as soon as I answered, before I even said hello, all I heard was XRP Incorporated. So, dude, what a day.
I got news for you.
Okay, what's the news?
XRP is going to be over $100.
Okay, Steve, look, see, this is when people say we're getting to a top. When like you can't.
If everybody can pump up bullshit companies that make $4 million in revenue, I can freaking talk about the utility of a cross-border payment system that is partnered with a ton of banks.
Okay, well, hold on. Do you want, dude, you got the freaking cult of XRP in the comments going crazy. Be serious, bro. When you say 100, they like take you seriously.
That's because I don't freaking fluff it. I told you Fauci was going to 150 and it hit it.
Yeah, that's true. You were right. You were right about that.
Yeah, I know I was because it's past 150 and I freaking said it was going to 150.
Well, everyone in the chat, or some people in the chat are saying you're lowballing it. It should be 1,000, to be honest.
I mean, if it's 1,000, nobody's going to see me ever again. I can tell you that.
So are you buying here at 350?
No, I don't need to buy. I own enough of it.
Oh, you own enough of it. You bought so much so long ago. You don't need to buy more.
I'm just saying, if it does what I think it's going to do, I'm good.
Well, maybe that's how it plays out. Maybe.
I'm not talking about overnight. I'm talking about 5 to 10 years out.
Okay, so before we continue, what was I going to say? I was just about to say something to you about crypto.
You're going to talk about getting an interview with Brad Garland now?
No, I was not going to talk about that. But
most important person in crypto?
But I was going to say, okay, there's a couple things I was going to say. Oh, yeah, okay, so the reason XRP is, do you even know why it's running?
Because they signed the bill today, and
yes.
They're going to drop the lawsuit, and then it's going to get adoption.
Okay, so all three of the crypto legislations were just passed, including the Genius Act. Yep. Number 2, SBET, Ethereum Treasury, just did an offering of $6 billion to buy more Ethereum. Ethereum's running on that. Number 3, Tom Lee bought 4,500 shares of his Ethereum Treasury after a 10x at 44 a share. Yep. And I guess my last thing I was going to say here is that it's been a generally very bullish day, and so crypto's catching a bid towards the end of the day right here. So Bitcoin at 121. That is why I think XRP is running. I don't think it's independently running because
and they're getting XRP ETFs.
That also, that's true. That's true.
And the lawsuit is expected to end any day now that all this legislation passed. Judge Torres is probably going to can it. So when that happens, expect a little spike. And then you got a couple of years of adoption, and let's see what happens.
Oh, this is what there's another thing I got to. Okay, so you come onto the stream and you say XRP to freaking 100, right?
Right.
Okay, so I just want to get
there's people that think it's going to 10,000.
That's fine. I just want to get your reaction to this. I'm going to say this, and I want to get your reaction, okay? Your raw reaction. Let me finish saying it, and then I want to know what you say. There's a company called BitOrigin, ticker symbol BTOG. You want to know what they did today, Steve?
What did they do with that?
Are you ready to handle what I'm about to say for what they did today?
I don't even know what this company is. It sounds like fucking, I don't know, a clothing company.
Stock's up 90% today. They raised $500 million in a convertible note. Guess what they told investors they're going to do with the money?
Buy Ethereum.
They are buying Dogecoin and creating a Dogecoin treasury.
Okay, we've officially hit a top. We're officially in 2021, everyone. This is just all right.
So you understand how I feel when you come onto the stream and say XRP 100, and then I tell you this news, like it kind of feels a little toppy. That's all.
Yeah, but there's a difference. I've owned XRP since 2018 or 2019, and I believed in it for 6 or 7 years. So it's not like I'm just jumping on some crypto bandwagon with it.
No, yeah, and I'm not accusing you of that at all. I mean, you understand this thesis well, but like, Steve, how did they convince people to give them $500 million to buy Dogecoin?
To buy Dogecoin, I don't know. They could have said, you know what, we're going to buy Solana and XRP and Ethereum, and I think it would have been no question. But Dogecoin, what the hell is the utility with Dogecoin?
You want to know what the CEO said? You want to know what the CEO said? By the way, real quick, Robert, thank you for the $100 super chat. He said, love you long time. Love you too, Robert. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being part of the channel. Mr. G, again, thank you for the $100.
You don't even know what movie that's from.
I know what movie Love You Long Time is from, okay?
What is it from?
Interstellar.
What is it from? No, it's not.
Okay, Avengers.
No, it is not.
Avengers.
No, it is not.
Endgame, right? Love You, like 3000 or some shit?
God, Full Metal Jacket, dude. Come on.
Didn't she say Love You 3000 or what? That's like,
Oh.
what's Full Metal Jacket?
Oh my God. What are we doing?
Who's Matthew Modine?
Don't even do that. Don't even do that.
Okay. Anyway. Dude, I really thought it was from, okay, Interstellar was a joke. I really thought it was from Avengers when they do the Love You 3000. What was that quote though from
God.
Avengers Love You 3000? What is? Yeah, I love you 3000. She said that. I thought that means that basically means I love you more than I thought love you long time was.
No.
All right. Well. Anyway, Robert, thank you for the $100 and love you long time as well. Right back at you. Right back at you. Steve, don't be disappointed in me, okay? I'm just like I'm challenged when it comes to movies. All right, don't be disappointed.
No, we know this. I think everybody who listens to your stream knows this. You've seen like 6 movies in your life.
Okay, but I saw Old School. I'm getting better. Like,
you did watch Old School, and for some reason you didn't really like it that much, which is crazy.
I mean, I wouldn't watch it again. It was an okay movie, but I'm not like it wasn't like I don't.
I mean, this makes me question if you'd even like The Hangover or Wedding Crashers at this point.
Anyway, the Dogecoin Treasury guy, what he said, I like summarizing his quotes. Number one, we think Dogecoin is one of the best peer-to-peer money transfer systems because of the growth in the community. God. Number two, and if you like that reason, here's a better one. We believe Elon Musk will incorporate Doge into X, and that will create a value increase in the overall network.
He probably will as a joke, the same way he made the Cybertruck as a joke. Like everybody has to realize by now that he made the Cybertruck as a joke.
Dude, I don't like, again, this doesn't take away from NVIDIA's earnings, but it feels like things are getting weird. Like,
look, there are pockets of the market that are expensive. There are pockets of the market that are cheap, and there are pockets of the market that are fairly priced. I gotta go though. I will talk to you later.
All right. Real quick, Steve, just last thing to say, love you long time.
SRP Nation.
Bye. Dude, I really thought it was from the Avengers, bro. I thought it was that Love You 3000 thing. All right, Full Metal Jacket. That's next on the list. Full Metal Jacket. I have to do it now to get that reference. Full Metal Jacket. You can't tell me all of you guys right now in the chat watched Full Metal Jacket before. Like, I refuse to believe everyone here knows what Love You Long Time was from. I refuse to believe it. There's no way everyone knew it was from freaking Full Metal Jacket. By the way, Webull pumping 486 or 1486. So that's above my average now, up 2.9%. Again, I'm out of the stock, but that is green. Bitmine's up 10%. Ethereum's up 3,400. And Robin Hoodie 106.4. Robin Hoodie 106.4. Okay, let me do a chat. Let me do a poll. How many of you have you seen Full Metal Jacket? Don't just say yes to say yes. Like, be honest. I'm gonna guess it's 70-30, which I think is reasonable. If it's 80-20, then I suck. If it's 70-30, I think that's reasonable. Okay, it's about 70-30. It's about 70-30. That's not crazy. That's not crazy, bro. It was like 90-10, then we got some issues. It's a classic. All right. I'll be watching it. Jared Williams says yes, and I'm 26. Dude, you're making me look bad, bro. You're making me look bad. Robinhood 106.4, Bitcoin 121, Ethereum 3,400. All right, so we have the crypto ecosystem that's beginning to really take shape. The market's loving it. Trump's passing all these crypto policies. The legislation is coming in the right way. You can own crypto in your 401k apparently as the regulations change. Frameworks for digital assets are getting set up. You got SBIT diluting. They're going to buy more Ethereum. You got Tom Lee buying his own company. I mean, seems pretty damn bullish. Robinhood just tokenized the entire world, and that's only going to get deeper and deeper. I mean, at least from a crypto perspective, it seems strong. Netflix still down about 1% after hours. Joby's up 1% after hours. United Healthcare, that's flat after hours, down 1% during the day. And Oscar still getting hit. It's up a little bit after hours, back to 14, but that was down 9.64% on the day. Yes, Doge is the number 8 in all of crypto. I'm not going to deny that Doge is a heavily owned crypto. It's just there is no utility outside of the meme, right? I mean, even the founders said that the meme is the utility. So the fact that they convinced investors to raise $500 million for a meme, I mean, at what point is this like I don't know. At what point does this continue to just like become too much for the overall markets, or is this just beginning? I am not opening a position in Oscar. Adam was on the channel today, though. He's selling puts on Oscar, so he does think at these levels is attractive, and I do agree at these levels is attractive. I just don't know enough about healthcare to really get excited for it as an investment, but definitely would say it's attractive. Webull right here up 3% after hours. IBKR is up 5%. They had a great earnings. Hoodie's at 106.40 after hours. That's up about 1%. Oh, there he is. There he is in the chat. 11 strike CSP. So one of the good things I got from the comments today on Adam's segment, and guys, by the way, I think it's a segment. Theta Thursdays. I love it. Theta Thursdays, 11 to 11:30 or 11 to 12 on Thursdays. I think it could be a great segment. One of the things I saw in your comments is that Adam was not promising 8, 9%, 10% a month. He's definitely not promising 500% like all these gurus who tell you to buy these options so we can go to the moon. He's saying 1 or 2% a month, and realistically 1 to 1.5% a month is not crazy. If you want to be more aggressive, those numbers can go up, but it's not crazy to expect learning about the derivatives market in options and being able to generate an extra 1% on shares that you're already on, which is an extra 12 to 15% a year. So I think the level of just like, hey, this is realistic, but this is still extra income is what's, he's not promising a $6 trillion market cap on XRP. 1 to 2% a month with appreciation is a huge win. 100%. Exactly. And I think that's why Theta Thursdays could be really good to go through some very specific examples. But regardless, I mean, for those that are in XRP, you're bidding it up. It is doing well after hours again, right here, 345 up 13%. And Ethereum and Bitcoin following into it as well. Dude, what a day. Just the markets, bro. Absolutely crazy day. I mean, dude, we had all-time highs across a variety of different stocks. Lots of different momentum for different names. And all of this happening with JPOW potentially being on the chopping block yesterday, which then got denied. But that was a roller coaster in and of itself yesterday. So it's pretty incredible to see kind of how this is beginning to play out right here. Let me pull up a little bit of coverage right here on some of the Fed rate cut talk. And then we'll keep going from there. Is BT moving after hours too? That one we didn't look at. It crossed $4, right? Yeah, up 3.74. Okay, hold on. Let me do this poll. By the way, 60% of you said you saw the movie. Let me do this poll. Are you in the ETH treasuries? Are you in the ETH treasuries? Yes or no? What do we got? How many people are actually in these things? I am not yet at all. Galaxy, that's another one. What is this? GLXY? Oh, this is Mike Novarats. I'm saying his name wrong probably, but that's his company, right? That's up 11% after hours. Galaxy Digital. How much is that up this month? This thing's up 40% this month, dude. This is a New York company. I don't know exactly what they do. Let me see if I can pull it up. But I know they're definitely intertwined with crypto. Digital assets infrastructure, data center infrastructure, delivering solutions that accelerate progress in financial and artificial intelligence. Do they have a treasury? I think they have a treasury. If I'm not wrong. I feel like they have a treasury. That one's up 12% after hours. 60% of you say no. Okay. So the majority of you are not in these ETH treasures. Majority of you are not in these ETH treasures. I made 50K this week on SBET calls. I mean, dude, congrats. Like, if you are trading this volatility to the upside and it's working, then congrats. But I mean, also, if you genuinely kind of believe in Tom Lee and this thesis on Ethereum and you're holding, it's funny, right? Like, is this Bitcoin 2.0? Is this MSTR 2.0? We saw what happened with that, life-changing amounts of money for a lot of people. Is this the market giving us another shot at it? Or is this something that's going to kind of fizzle out? My gut tells me the former versus the latter, if you believe in Ethereum. And again, I'm not believing in Ethereum just for the hell of it. I'm trusting that stablecoin thesis. And Robinhood's using Ethereum for their blockchain to tokenize. I mean, like, I think the deep dive will help me understand it a lot better. But if this is where the traditional financial system is growing, I mean, yeah, I would imagine Ethereum goes up. The value of Ethereum goes up. And as a result, these treasuries theoretically should give value. Yeah, there's no options yet in BMNR. And when that is introduced, I think that's going to be very exciting as well. It's not there yet, but eventually that will happen. IBKR up 4%. Robinhood's up 0.7%. Netflix down 1.6%. Big Bear flat after hours. Joby's up another 1%. Weeble's up, wow, 5%. Okay. You're welcome. I just want to say you're welcome. There she goes. 15 after hours for Weeble. I mean, look, it is what it is, dude. I feel way more comfortable in Hood. That's all I'll say. I feel way more comfortable in Hood. Question now is, okay, here's the question. Now that Weeble is breaking above 15 for whatever reason, the bulls have been very stringent on their thesis for just like this stock going higher. I mean, do they take it to 20? Kris says send a StreamYard. All right, Kris, I'm sending StreamYard. Here's the thing. I wouldn't be eligible for the gains either because I had those 1450 calls. So the best, here's my thing on Weeble. I kind of don't care that much because I would break even on Weeble because I had 1450 calls for this Friday, tomorrow. So yesterday I broke even by buying Robinhood and selling the calls, and I just feel better owning Robinhood. Now, granted, if I didn't have those 1450 calls and this thing runs to 20, then it's like, I missed out on some alpha. Especially because I held through the whole Yorkville nonsense. And I hope it does. I hope it does. For the people that are in it, I really, really hope it explodes and people make a lot of money on this. But personally, in a market that's booming, would rather protect a little bit of money instead of like leaving it stuck in something like this. And that's the move I made yesterday. Weeble right here, 15 after hours. Oscar's up 1% after hours, and Bitmine, that one's up 8% after hours. Oh, where is Open Door, bro? How is that doing? Up 10% on the day. It's up a little bit after hours, 170 on Open Door. I still don't get why they're saying $82 on Open Door. That's the meme, $82 on Open Door. I don't get why it's 82. But that's what they're saying for 82. I am not buying the Dogecoin treasury. No, I'm not doing that. Saw a bunch of AMC floated. Let's see the most. Let me get up the 20 most traded stocks today in the market from the options angle. Wow. Look at these numbers, folks. Look at these numbers. By the way, Kris, I sent the StreamYard on WhatsApp. NVIDIA, 2.9 million contracts. Tesla, 1.8. Lucid, 1.5 million contracts. Palantir, 1 million. Open Door, 900K. 729,000 calls. 167,000 puts. Apple 840, AMD 800, Robinhood 600 or 594, iBit 499, Coinbase 47, Corey 464, Amazon, Neo, QuantumScape, Microsoft, SoFi, MSTR, Meta, TSM, and Google. Those are the top 20 traded stocks this market or today in the market. White House preparing executive order targeting woke AI. Hold on, wasn't Trump supposed to sign executive orders today? Was there a live stream on that? I didn't see it. Maybe they didn't go live. I don't exactly know what woke AI is defined as, but I guess they're going to have some executive order. Here's a clip from the press secretary today talking more about crypto, and then we'll keep going from there.
In our new media seat, we have Frank Corva, who's the White House correspondent for Bitcoin.
Oh, you can barely hear this. This audio is not that good. Hold on. Let me see if I can get a better clip right here. Let me see. Let me pull up their actual stream. But okay, so I guess we're gonna get an executive order on that, and we'll see what happens from there. Let me pull this up, and then we'll keep going. Yes, I'll check expirations on SoFi calls. It closed over 22, which was nice. So we'll take a look at that in a second. Okay, here's the clip for the Bitcoin payments today.
About something the president spoke about in this room. He talked about a $600 de minimis tax exemption for Bitcoin and other crypto spending. So I was just wondering if you could comment on those.
Sure. Well, the president did signal his support for a de minimis exemption for crypto, and the administration continues to be in support of that. We are definitely receptive to it to make crypto payments easier and more efficient for those who seek to use crypto as a simple as buying a cup of coffee. Of course, right now that cannot happen, but with the de minimis exemption, perhaps it could in the future, and we will continue to explore legislative solutions to accomplish that. As for the central bank digital currency and the Genius Act, which you noted has passed through Congress and will be sent to the president's desk. I believe the House is voting on it. If they haven't, they should be passing it. We know we have the votes, and we expect it to get to the president's desk, and we are planning a signing ceremony tomorrow afternoon. All of you will get more details on that. This piece of legislation is going to make America the crypto capital of the world, and that's what the president promised. As for a central bank digital currency, the president opposes that. He made that promise to the American people on the campaign, and while it's not in this specific piece of legislation, he did sign a January executive order banning a central bank digital currency. The administration supports Congress's efforts to codify that executive order into law, and I believe there will be future pieces of legislation in regards to crypto that will be moving through Capitol Hill. The president looks forward to signing them, and he looks forward to the signing ceremony this afternoon. So thank you for being with us today. Sure.
Okay, so Trump helping with de minimis laws when it comes to crypto payments. Obviously, that is also bullish for crypto. I mean, you're just getting a lot more momentum in this entire ecosystem. Yeah, she is 28. She is 28 years old, dude. Okay, so that couple I showed you today that was caught cheating. It wasn't a freaking baseball conference. It was a Coldplay concert. It was a Coldplay concert. I thought it was baseball. You know what's so funny about this though? I heard a take today, which is like, it's so true. Imagine they just didn't do this. Like, imagine he just kept his arms around her and they looked like a normal couple. People would obviously find out, okay, that he was cheating. Because granted, I don't know who the hell that guy was, dude. People are saying like the headlines were big tech CEOs. Like, this is not Satya. This is not Sundar. I don't know who the hell this guy is. But maybe if they didn't act like there was an issue, like the camera would have just moved on to the next couple. And then were their spouses watching a Coldplay concert or something? Like, probably not, right? So I feel like he just fumbled there, bro. If you're gonna cheat, like you gotta keep your cool when you get caught. And he's like, look at that, bro. Look at him. He's hiding. Like, what is this, dude? What is this? They could have just moved on. So yeah, that was one of the more funny things that happened today. Christopher Patel. Dude, Chris hasn't shaved in a bit. Look at this. This market's aging him, bro. Got the beard going. You and Steve, bro. Both of you getting the beard. He's coming back with the beard. Yeah, there's Polymarket and Kalshi polls on if this guy's going to get divorced now, which is also crazy. Make a poll and make a market out of everything at this point. We can't hear you. You're muted. Your mic's not muted, but you guys can hear him, right? I can't hear him. Or is that me? No, I think that's you. Yeah, leave and come back. I think that'll. Or just change the mic.
That's the mic. It didn't
There you
automatically change. Okay.
Yeah, at least he's with a guy. I mean, a girl his own age, right?
Dude,
That's
imagine
a big.
she was like 21 or
thing.
something. Yeah.
It'd be shocking, but there are a lot of women who will actually accept someone who cheats on them as long as it's not an emotional thing. You ever heard of that before?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
You know, I was watching this thing and like Japanese culture, like women have this thing where it's like, go ahead, you can cheat, just don't bring it home. You know, kind of a, you know what, I'm getting rid of this hat. My wife got me a new South Carolina hat, but I don't like it. I like my regular hat. Now my hair's all messed up, but whatever.
Dude, this market, I mean, there's a lot of stuff to talk about, but what's your general reaction? I think you saw some of the stream. There's Dogecoin treasuries popping up. There's lots of names that are running, some justified, maybe some frothy. How are you thinking of what's going on in this market?
I mean, this eerily reminds me of 2021, where we had a lot of SPAC names come out, and you know, it's people were betting more based on momentum rather than actual fundamentals, right? So it's really hard in markets like this where you're seeing companies up double digits and you're like, oh my God, I should just buy that. Like, why am I holding this one value company? You know, and so a lot of people are chasing the market and they're chasing the stocks that are high flyers, you know, and it's a strategy. It's just something that as you get older, and I was going to shave before I joined this, but I didn't because I purposely wanted to show people like I'm an older person. I've seen this happen time and time again. And it's one of those things that like your real friends will tell you like, hey, be careful in markets like this. Your not real friends will just tell you, yeah, man, you're the smartest guy on the planet. Keep buying this, you know, expensive shit. It's going to always keep going up. And I think that's probably one of the harder things as you get older. You realize that, you know, the wise advice is the one that you don't want to listen to, you know?
So, okay. So there's some nuance here because the Dogecoin treasury stuff is weird and it's like, it makes you feel 2021-ish, but then again, Oracle and NVIDIA are putting up massive numbers. So how do you personally reconcile a lot of frothiness with excess liquidity, but also liquidity going to the right places like an NVIDIA?
I mean, if you think about the year 2000, right, because that's a good example, there were companies who were actually real companies making real money. But then you had a whole bunch of other companies that were just like, oh, we're .com, you know? So it's kind of like that with, I think, the treasuries, where there are real treasuries out there that are trying to develop a business model around this issue of stable coins and all this other stuff being able to generate revenue. But then there's others that are just like, hey, listen, my core business is failing, so I'm going to become a Bitcoin or an Ethereum treasury all of a sudden. You know, you look at a lot of like Riot. Riot was originally like a miner, right? And then they ended up, oh yeah, let's change up and let's become a treasury. Mara did the same thing. And I think the same thing is happening with some of these other companies like SharpLink Gaming. Like, what does SharpLink Gaming do? What's their core business?
They, that's a good question.
Right? That's what I was saying. So I think a lot of time people are just like, oh my God, there's gullible people ready to buy my stock as long as I flip the script and I become something else. I mean,
okay, but hold on. In the year 2000, Amazon went down 95%. I don't think anyone can logically say, even if there's froth in this market, that same thing can happen, right? So that's my question. I feel like it's really hard because you can either say top, sell, buy some puts, and you wait. But if you do that, and maybe some random crypto company goes down 80%, but NVIDIA stays fine, you missed out on the market, right?
See, that's the thing. As an investor versus trader, that's the mentality that you got to keep. I mean, portion of your portfolio should be, hey, I can trade this market in and out. But if you have a core portfolio that's really based on like long-term thesis, then, you know, you keep that segregated so that you're not exposed to these violent drawdowns. Look, the worst thing you could do is be in a place where you're down 50% on a position. Why? Because now you need 100% to recover. People think, oh, just because I'm down 50% means that if the market goes up by 50%, that means I'll recover. Like, no, you need the market to recover 100% to get to where you are. So a lot of people in frothy markets like this, they buy at the top. And then when things kind of come down, then they're playing catch up. And a lot of times the catch up phase takes years, if not decades. So, you know, just like I said, everyone just needs to it's okay to trade markets like this. Just don't do it with an outsized position of your portfolio. Don't get greedy and be like, you know what? I was 90% in great companies, but I missed, but my 10% of my portfolio that's doing this like momentum trading, I'm seeing way too much gains in the momentum side. And let me go 70% momentum trading all of a sudden, you know?
Yeah.
That's the part that really messes people's total returns up. Just buy strong companies, hold them for a long period of time, and you're going to do extremely well. And especially if you've already gotten to the 7-figure mark, you know, as you get richer, you should be taking risk off the table. That's the secret to wealth. Once you get to a certain wealth level, you don't jack up the risk. You take risk down, you know, because you already made it.
I think the culmination of your thoughts here are it is 2021 in certain areas, but Meta at $1 trillion in 2021 really made no sense because Meta was just like not putting up the numbers to justify that. But Google at $2 trillion today, Nvidia at $4 trillion today, those make sense. Like, and if they can put up the earnings, it will continue to make sense. But that doesn't mean some of the momentum names will continue to trade at these levels.
Here's a good example. Look at Big Bear AI right now and how it's riding this market, right? We clearly know that there's actually a AI thematic that's happening, but look at what's happening with Big Bear. You know, what has fundamentally changed about this company in the last 3 months to justify this move higher?
I personally couldn't tell you, but maybe
exactly.
Else.
And that's the thing. So a lot of times what happens is, and the company executives are smart about things like this, they will play into the narrative to get the valuation as high as they can, issue a crap ton of shares, and then now it gives them, you know, an opportunity to live another 5 years. Like here's a good example of that is what is this thing that they just issued? Black Sky. Was it Black Sky? Look at Black Sky today. It's down, I think, 22% right now, right? Yeah, look at that. Like, so Black Sky went up, and up, and then all of a sudden now it's, you know, they do a secondary offering and now it's down 20% in the market. You know, so it's like, what just happened? You know, if you're fundamentally a strong business, do you really need the cash? But
for them, it's the right move, right? Because they get to raise cheap capital. So
exactly, they get to raise cheap capital. You know.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about Webull. What the hell's going on here, and do you think this is going to 20? I mean, what are you thinking?
It's a momentum trade right now. The fundamentals are good with this company, but like I said, the risk of the Yorkville thing is still there. Yet people are like, "Oh no, I want to buy more Webull." You know, I'm not. And the thing is, seeing this does not give me any joy. One, because I sold a little bit. I sold 80% of my position. If I was still holding it, I'd be a little bit more in the celebratory nature. But it's moving up for the wrong reasons. That's the problem. That.
Well, what do you mean by that? Like, what? I mean, isn't it just like they reintroduced crypto today? We had a bunch of crypto legislation, so boom, that's your momentum.
I think it's a little bit more than that. I think the general market is up, even because the thing is, if it was just crypto, then you would see nothing but the crypto companies rising today. Open Door is up. What does Open Door have to do with crypto?
Yeah, no, that's fair, but I do think the whole point. So why do you think Webull's up?
Well, one, because everyone is looking at the brokers, and the brokers are doing well, so you're getting a sympathy trade out of it, right? So
but that was your thesis, right?
That was one of the theses that I had, yeah. Before they started doing those stupid Yorkville moves, right? Which definitely shook my core. But once again, the fundamentals are still good for this company, but it's nothing that deserves this kind of like instant move all of a sudden, you know? Like I said, as a long-term investor, you got to think, hey, listen, what's going on with this company? Where can it really go? What is the value here? But what you're seeing in the short term is just a lot of hype coming in, you know.
Pollute just says, how do you say this guy's name, bro?
Pulte.
Dude, I kind of think I'm dyslexic. I've been saying pollute for the past week. I'm about to break some major news regarding Jerome Powell. Dude, what do you think is going on, Kris? What's happening here?
So Pulte's in charge of housing, right? And one of the things you're seeing right now is major downward moves in housing in certain areas of the country. And his thing is, hey, listen, if interest rates were to come down, then people could afford more homes. But affording the interest rate and affording the home are two different things. And I think I mentioned that on my X post, because one of the things is the Fed, regardless of what people think, they do not control the long end of the curve. They only control the short end of the curve. So even if Jerome Powell came out tomorrow and says, I'm lowering this by 50 basis points, it doesn't mean that the long end of the curve is going to go down. The spread would just widen, especially if long-term inflation is starting to reaccelerate. So I think we have to get over this, hey, Jerome Powell is the problem. And I think they really are. I don't know, maybe the administration just really wants a scapegoat. But with markets all-time highs, housing prices, like at an elevated pace, affordability is extremely high right now. Like, is this really the time you want to be cutting?
Chris, I got the tweet. I am told by very reliable congressional sources that there may be a criminal referral coming for one or more Congress members to the DOJ for Jay Powell's alleged perjury about the $2.5 billion renovation on the building.
This is so stupid, dude. This is so dumb.
Objectively, do you think Jay Powell committed a crime with this?
No, they've been audited every single year. Congress approved the budget. This was all done for the last 7 years. Like, they're really grasping at every straw that they could grasp at to try to get Jerome Powell out. Like, I've never seen someone come after the chair of the Federal Reserve this hard. Like, well, actually, no. Let me take that back. Who was it? Was it Lyndon B. Johnson who basically slammed one of the Fed chairs into a wall and said, "You're not going to lower. You're going to lower interest rates." You know about that story?
Let's ask. Yeah. Wow. I mean, we got something from Google right here. When LBJ assaulted a Fed chairman.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me try to get a summary on this, dude.
I'm telling you.
In late 1965, President Lyndon B. Johnson physically confronted Federal Reserve Chairman William Mackenzie Martin at his Texas ranch, shoving him and yelling about the Vietnam War. Johnson was upset that the Fed was tightening credit, which he opposed as it conflicted with his desire for low interest rates to fund the war. This confrontation highlights the intense pressure between Johnson and the Fed. At least Trump didn't put his hands on Powell, bro.
Listen, they couldn't do that to Volcker because Volcker was like 6'5" or something. He was like he was a giant, right? Look at how tall was Paul Volcker?
Let me look him up right here. This is a picture of him. He looks like a big guy.
Yeah. Just how tall was he?
Let me check.
This dude had balls, bro.
6'7".
6'7". See? He was a giant. Go ahead. Try to mess around with this dude. Yeah.
I've never watched a speech of this guy. I want to watch a speech later. There's a ton of videos on YouTube I'm finding on him. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to watch that. Okay, so how does this thing resolve then? Do you think they investigate Powell, or what do you think?
I think they're trying to put pressure on him. Like this criminal thing, it's really a lot of pressure on the chairman to resign. I don't think that this is something like, dude, imagine being the Fed chair and literally like, oh, you spent money on the renovation on a building that's literally 7 years long, but it's a historic building. That's how much it costs to renovate things over in DC. And it's not like this wasn't known. It's just they're looking for a problem to basically get rid of him. It's like that with employers too. If you've been at a job before, like if they want to get rid of you, but they have no cause, what they start doing is just looking at everything you've done to find something that you might have, not crossed your T's or dotted your I's.
Yeah.
And then they try to like, and they don't even try to get rid of you. What they try to do is put enough pressure on you that you resign yourself, and it's not a great way to run an organization, but it's definitely not a great way to run, Fed policy either. So
do you think August we get a crash?
You never know, man. As far as I can tell, there's no.
Well,
I mean, there's no singular credit event that could cause this outside of maybe some of the tariff issues coming to light where, we don't get trade deals. I mean, that's the only thing that I'm a little bit just concerned about. That and maybe possible reacceleration of inflation. That could also be another thing that that people have to watch out for. I mean, the numbers that we saw, they were good, but they weren't great. And what you're seeing is a slight reacceleration in inflation. So if we start to get higher reads again on inflation, then the narrative flips from, hey, we need to be cutting, to, hey, wait a second, the Fed was right to stay paused. And a lot of the tariffs now, they're getting implemented, and I think the government's collecting $300 billion supposedly this year.
Yeah.
Look, that's just, no matter what anyone says, dude, it's a tax that we're going to pay, right? Anytime you import something from a foreign country, someone pays those taxes. Eventually it makes its way into the cost of the goods sold. And that's just how things work. On top of that, you've got mass deportations, which is fine. I get that, people really are anti illegal immigration and everything, but a lot of these people serve in some of the most low wage areas of the economy. And so by getting rid of them, you could see upward wage pressure in production of things like food and even like certain factories and things like that. So if you have upward wage pressure, it's good for the people at the bottom who do need those jobs. But it also means that those higher wages could eventually make its way into company margins, and then the companies have to raise prices. And once again, now you get back into inflation mode. Like, look at price of beef right now. The price of beef is accelerating. The price of food in general is starting to go up.
What do you think about this? 401ks having crypto and private equity. You think it's good or bad?
I'm not a fan. Not a fan at all.
Why?
Maybe crypto's okay, but definitely not private equity. It's not liquid. Private equity is not liquid. Like, you want to take a stake in a private equity firm, okay, great. But then at the same time, like, how do you get out of it? It's not a liquid market. Not to mention valuing private equity. It's a shell game, so it's not a great thing. So I don't know if you know how private equity sometimes works, but they essentially have this incestuous relationship with each other, where a business will be bought by Apollo, right? And Apollo will sell to KKR and jack up the price, and then KKR will sell it to KPMG or someone else, and then another private equity buys it. And now all of a sudden you look on the books, it's like, oh, look, I bought this one company for $1 billion. Now it's all of a sudden worth $4 billion, and the fundamentals of business haven't really changed. It's just they keep changing hands, and they all do this. They all change hands with each other to make the companies that they bought look attractive,
Right.
And a lot of them are stuck with a lot of credit. Like you look at I think there was a story about this in Harvard. A lot of their endowments is stuck in PE firms, and they can't unload them. And when they did try to unload them, they had to discount them heavily. So,
Kris, we got an Elon tweet. This is not a reply, folks. This is on his main feed. Here you go. Wow, I can't believe Epstein killed himself before realizing it was all a hoax. Do you think, I don't want to get super, super deep into the Epstein thing, but do you think from a perception perspective, this is a hindrance towards Trump being able to properly govern, because so many people are going to keep asking about this?
I mean, I don't know, man. I'm trying to figure out how Elon is trying to play this thing. Like, what is Elon's motive here, right? Is this really necessary? Just you tell me, is this necessary to post?
I think there's two elements to this. I think number one, Elon, there's two things. Either he genuinely cares about getting the list out, which I think a far majority of the American population does, and he knows that. Number two, he hates Trump after the big, beautiful bill, Jarek Isaacman, and all this stuff. And so he's using this as a way to get the public to realize he was right the whole time, that Trump essentially was a grifter by promising Doge and then getting rid of all that stuff, yada, yada. And then maybe if he diminishes the value of the GOP, the America Party has a platform to get some momentum. That would be my logic.
That's an interesting thought. I think the one that made sense to me in terms of like real financials is someone said he's trying to purposely tank Tesla, the stock, so that when his new comp came on, it's easier for him to beat. Did you see that by any chance?
But he wouldn't have to buy at the market price in his new comp, right? Oh, you mean if the price goes down, and even if he's issued shares at way below the current price, eventually as the price goes up,
No, I mean, remember, he's all about performance bonuses, right?
Right.
So
Oh, I see what you're
if
saying.
you
Okay.
get the stock, as low as possible, and then you have like, hey, listen, my performance is not based on actual comp, it's actually based on, like rise in share price. You kind of want that rise, and so it's easier if the stock is at 200 than it is at 500. I don't know. That's just speculation. I'm not saying that that's what he's doing.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that that's what I've seen, and that's what makes sense.
What do you think of Tom Lee buying 4,500 shares of his own company at $44 after it 10x? I mean, do you believe BM&R will be the next MSTR?
We have to figure out how ETH makes money.
I'm doing a deep dive next Wednesday, and I have some really good people joining. So
yeah, I think that's the key here, right? You have to find out how he plans on making money and making this a sustainable business. The value of the Bitcoin treasury, people like MSTR, their entire thing is the value of Bitcoin will perpetually go higher, higher, and higher because there is a scarcity of actual Bitcoin, right? There's a total limit. And as more people buy into Bitcoin to hedge against, fiat currency deflation, that means that the value of Bitcoin is going to keep growing higher. And what Saylor is betting on is that he can leverage the markets to keep issuing more MSTR stock, buy Bitcoin. So basically he wants to issue fiat and instead buy Bitcoin with it. Now, Ethereum, I don't know if it's got a theoretical limit where it has, like a top line where it can't go above. So is there a scarcity principle in the Ethereum ecosystem? I don't know. I do know that they do have a mechanism whereby more users use it. There are fees that are associated with Ethereum usage that, people get if you own Ethereum. And then there's also other things that are like, that basically burn extra blocks so that it does somewhat control the supply. But this is one of those things that like I said, I'm a novice at, so I can't explain fully like, hey, this is what's going to happen. This is not what's going to happen. So
do you
even
think it's
though
healthy for Wall Street to embrace Ethereum,
I'm not sure it's Wall Street that's really embracing it. Right at this point, I think it's just retail investors, like the general. You know what? Let me take it back. I think retail investors are part of Wall Street now. So
well, I think Wall Street's going to follow. I mean, they followed retail into Bitcoin with the institutionalization of ETFs. Stable coins is a very Wall Street thing. Circle, one of the best IPOs, right? So like, I kind of think it's Wall Street eventually that will take this thing to 10K because retail is not doing that.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny how a lot of people that were very anti-Bitcoin all of a sudden now are pro-Bitcoin, mainly because you see this administration change a lot of the policies around. One, you have an administration that's very pro-crypto legislation, right? And the thing is, as you create legislation around it, you give it legitimacy. And I think that's one of the things that's been causing it to go higher. And then on top of it, you're starting to see people doubting the value of the US dollar long term. I think that's a major issue as well. I do think that the dollar still has a lot of strength. I don't think that, it's going to replace the world reserve currency anytime soon. There's just not a compelling alternative to the US dollar. So I'm not worried about that. But long term, we could see the devaluation of the dollar, in which case, a fixed quantity asset like Bitcoin should keep rising.
Right.
I think it'll have its corrections though. Don't get me wrong. It's definitely going to have its, like one of the things about I think gold is going to have a correction too. If you look at the price of gold, it's gone absolutely insane. So, and I think the best comment that I heard about Bitcoin is that a lot of people think Bitcoin trades like a hedge against inflation. But if you really look at it, it's more like a triple leveraged NASDAQ ETF, and it trades more like that.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, it is so high beta and has so much liquidity. This is what Saylor was talking about yesterday. And you have so many. See, the thing is, I think it's going to get less volatile as more people buy it and hold it, especially if it's in their 401k or these treasury companies just buy it and they never sell it. Right.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I guess we're going to see ultimately how it plays out.
It's Bitcoin's like I said, Bitcoin's graduated from cult to religion. So there are people right now who every pay period, they just buy Bitcoin. You know, they're not even like, they don't care if they buy it at 150. They don't care if they buy it at 20. It's just a part of their like, hey, listen, I just want to buy this. And you can see that with a lot of industries, right? You've got people like Steve who are into baseball collecting cards, right? So they take a portion of their net worth and say, you know what, I can survive off of 2% of my portfolio of assets being in baseball cards. You know, some people have Beanie Babies, some people have Pokemon cards, some people have, you know, expensive art.
Do you so you said there's no credit event that could cause a collapse. Is there any other major bear case outside of some of the
wait before you, have you heard of Labubus?
Yeah, I've heard of Labubus.
Bro, what is going on with this Labubu craze?
Dude, Chris Camillo invested in some Hong Kong company that makes them, I think.
Yeah, man. I just heard about it. I was like, what the hell is a Labubu? But then like it's all over social media now. It's like dude, it's almost like history's repeating itself. I remember when I was a kid, we used to have those yo-yos. Remember those? I don't know if you're old enough to remember those.
What yo-yos?
The yo-yos, the ones where you smack it down and it basically like kept spinning. You know, it wouldn't come back right away. It's just stayed down there for a little bit, and then you could play around with it. So there was like a fad with yo-yos at one summer.
Do you remember what it's called? Does anyone remember what it was called?
No, it's just yo-yos. I forgot what they were. But people, if you're my age, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. You know, but there were so many fads. Everyone was walking the dog. If anyone remembers with the yo-yos, the moonwalking thing. Yeah. Damn, okay. I remember those. Those were fun. Yeah.
Okay. Was it this thing Pogs? Was that what it's called?
No, Pogs are different. Pogs are different.
Well, I just like it's multi-generational, right? These different levels of assets that can get hyped up. The question is, do they have something backing behind them? And the sports card stuff that has a lot of momentum, Pokemon stuff, Labubus and all this other stuff, I don't know. Do you think that by the end of the summer, you said there's no credit imminent threat to the markets. Do you think there's another imminent threat outside of just general frothiness that could legit take the S&P down 5 to 7%?
I think it's just basically inflation. Like if we start to see inflation reaccelerate for whatever reason, then we got a problem, you know, structurally. And I don't know if you saw from the New York Times how like the inflation picture. So if you look at inflation was trending down significantly, and then May, and then you start to see May and June numbers, they're starting to kind of make their way higher again. You know, the inflation narrative that carried us to this 2.7, 2.8% level. A lot of that is because of energy prices coming under control now. So if you look at the price, the inflation on energy, it's next to nothing, right? On the other hand, you look at the other categories like food. I mean, natural gas was a little bit higher last month, but natural gas is, once again, it's the widowmaker. It fluctuates all over the place. But overall energy is in control. So you're not seeing tremendous amount of inflation coming from there. The challenge is food and other parts, and especially services. Services inflation is sticky. And one of the things is, and today we saw this with Elevance. Elevance reported on the healthcare insurance side. Basically, the cost of healthcare is going up. And it's going up beyond what the expectation was going into this year. So a lot of the health insurance companies, they've been caught off guard. So the way that insurance, works is, like you, Amit, you get quoted, hey, Amit, you're going to pay X amount of dollars per month for coverage, right?
Yeah.
All that money is pooled together, and then they pay out over time. Now, the problem is if let's say 6 months in, the price of medical care cost for the entire, side gets increases significantly. Now it's going to start to impact your margins. The good thing, if you want to call it a good thing, is that it gives you a better sense of what inflation is going to look like next year. And so you can raise your premiums to match that. So I think a lot of these health insurers, they're likely to raise premiums next year, right? But the problem is, by raising premiums, you're also causing wear and tear on the consumer because you're raising insurance premiums.
Is that why Oscar took a hit today, because of Elevance?
Yeah. Medical, the cost of care is going up significantly. There was a report by PwC that actually came out Just type in Google, type in PwC healthcare inflation, and you'll see like inflation rose according to them, inflation on cost of care is going up by almost 8.5%. Thanks, honey.
There you go.
All right, enjoy. Yeah, my wife, me and the wife are going to Mexico again with our friends tomorrow. So,
dude, tomorrow?
Yeah,
bro, you've been in Mexico a lot.
This was a pre-planned trip like 6 months ahead of 6 months ago. Matt and Tevis, when we did that trip, that was like spur of the moment. So I'm going to Mexico twice this year.
How long are you gonna be there?
Huh? Just like 4 days. Just like 4 days. Yeah.
Should be fun.
Yeah. But once again, if you're seeing this is what's happening. This is where you're seeing that inflation is starting to pick up at the producer level, and a lot of those costs are going to end up, I'm sorry to say, is going to get pushed to the consumers. So right now, if you think that healthcare costs are going to go up by 8.6%, what do you think all these health insurance companies are going to do next year? Do you think they're going to say, yeah, let's just eat the cost? No, they're going to say, let's raise the premiums.
Is that bullish UNH or no?
There are other reasons to be bullish on UNH. Outside of hey, healthcare costs are rising, mostly because they do have a tremendous amount of cash flow that they can use to, do some financial engineering to get their share price higher. That's one thing. The other thing is a lot of the margin compression that you're seeing today is because they made mistakes in determining, and it's not just them. If it was just United Healthcare, I would say, hey, this is deserved. But every single insurance company was caught off guard. All of their actuaries were caught off guard by this, which is essentially what they projected the cost would be versus what the actual cost ended up being are way different. And so it's compressing their margins. So next year, you should theoretically see UNH do some cost controls on their end. So they'll pick up some points there. They'll raise premiums a little bit. I think CMS is actually raising some of their reimbursement rates as well. So there's a strong case to be made that companies like UNH and the other health insurance companies will theoretically trade higher next year after all of this stuff passes. Right now, in the short to medium term, there's a lot of headlines that are impacting companies negatively. Oscar, when you had what's his name, Adam on, I was like screaming at the screen. I was like, no, let me mention something about Oscar. Oscar is particularly vulnerable to the end of enhanced subsidies for the ACA. So when COVID hit, the Biden administration and everyone, they had something called the enhanced subsidies. So when you go to buy health insurance on the ACA marketplace, you can buy it at a subsidized price. Those subsidies are ending, which means that people are going to have to pay higher premiums in the ACA marketplace. They're no longer going to be subsidized by the federal government. Now, some people may choose to say, hey, I'll just go without healthcare, right? If you see the price and you're like, wait a second, this is going to cost me like $800, I'm just going to chance it. I might not get healthcare, in which case now you have this giant population of uninsured people. And that's one of the things that the CBO kind of mentioned, if you want to look that up, that if a lot of the stuff is not extended. And the thing is, the Biden administration, when they did this as a temporary measure. It was supposed to be temporary. But if I don't think it's over yet, by the way. I think there's still talks about extending that subsidy. So don't get like use me as 100% reference. Do your own research on that one. But healthcare insurance businesses should theoretically get back to their normal trading range in a couple of years. It's not going to happen overnight. I don't even think it's going to happen 6 months from now. The guidance on a lot of these companies, they're cutting them back significantly.
Correct.
So Elevance did that today. Elevance, which is the second largest healthcare company, they reduced down their guidance by not a huge amount, but by a good amount of people. So
and in CNC, they got rid of guidance completely, right?
Yeah, because it's really hard as a business to predict what's going to happen in the current macro environment, because you have Are we going to have tariffs? Are we not going to have tariffs? And then the Trump administration is now saying, hey, I'm going to put tariffs on pharmaceutical companies, right? Yeah. So now what happens? If you put tariffs on pharmaceuticals, anything that's imported, I mean, if you look at medicines, about 80% or 90% of medicine, like raw materials, are imported into the country. You put a tariff on that, all of those costs are going to end up coming back to you as the consumer. Maybe not right away, but eventually it will. If the cost of healthcare goes up, your insurance premiums go up. And if insurance premiums go up, guess what? Inflation goes up. You know?
Yeah. That's a good point. It is a good point. This CEO cheating story, bro, it was just like everything's running crazy today, and then this happens, and it's just like wild because you have to deal with it.
I'm just happy it's not like a teenager or some shit like that. Like, that's where we are in society.
I'm happy
right?
It's not like freaking, yeah, I agree. And I'm also happy it's not Sundar or Satya or like a real controversy. Oh, who the hell? No one knows who this guy is, bro.
Who is he? Who is that guy? Is he like someone famous?
He apparently the company's worth $1 billion. I don't know how much he's worth, but yeah, I'm gonna pull up the website. The best place. It's a generative AI company for DevOps, enterprise software. I mean, it was just a wild story all day.
One of the things that I've been doing on Twitter is I've been following individuals who have AI research experience, and that's been like a very eye-opening thing in terms of in terms of analysis on AI. So there are personalities on Twitter. One of the things that you're seeing, and this is a very impressive thing, you're literally seeing 3-man companies that are able to generate like ARR of like $10 million.
Yeah.
Because of AI. It's crazy to see that, but they're so high level in terms of where they are in their career, in terms of like knowing what they're trying to design. They don't need like an army of coders. They don't need an HR department. They're just like a few guys in a garage and generating hundreds of millions of dollars in value, which is insane.
Perplexity, 18 billion valuation. I talked about a couple startups yesterday that raised like $200-300 million bucks. NVIDIA announced this today for the UK. Like, the overall AI thematic is so real, and these companies are growing at hypersonic speed. I mean, Cursor, one of the first companies to get 500 million ARR in like 5 months. It's just hard to imagine the broader market not realizing that that is valuable. And TSM, NVIDIA, Oracle, I think those earnings are also proving that as well. But if these startups continue having more use cases in the name of AI, then I think that continues to get a premium as well.
So someone said like who? So let me actually show you someone that I just recently started following. Let's see.
By the way, guys, futures just open. Well, futures have been open for like 20 minutes, but futures, let me pull this up real quick. Are we green?
Okay.
I think we're flattish. We are basically flat. Yeah, across the board.
Okay, so here's someone I just started following. If you want to take a look. So this person is Yuchen Jin. I'm sorry if I butcher your name. All right. But basically, the guy's previously worked at companies that were acquired by NVIDIA. He's a co-founder and CTO of Hyperbolic Labs. I mean, this guy's like a wealth of information. He's so big in terms of, he's a small account on here by relative standards, like 50,000. But in terms of like his reach, bro, people like Satya Nadella, what's his name, Sundar, actually like retweet this guy and talk to him, and he's actually got like a massive offer from Meta. Where is it? Zuck just poached another Chinese AI star, you know.
So what company is he running right now?
This is a small company called Hyperbolic Labs.
Open access AI cloud.
Yeah.
I feel like paradigmatically our world is changing when it comes to AI, and this is why this bull market continues, because the street's not fading that. Not in this market.
Yeah. See, like, you know who Yan LeCun is, right? From Meta?
Yeah, from Meta. Yeah.
So even he basically tweeted to him and said, hey, want to join us?
Dude, so what's your opinion on Zuck spending all this money to get people?
I mean, there's this one quote that this
you think
guy
it's like
had.
you think it's like wartime CEO stuff? Like the AI race is on, you got to spend?
yeah, man. You know, there are some people that are just game changers. It's like baseball, right? Do you want someone who's like a really, really strong person? Are you willing to pay for that strong person? Like, imagine right now, you could design a basketball team. How much would a LeBron cost versus 100 average basketball players? Would you rather have LeBron or 100 average basketball players?
LeBron.
You want LeBron, right? Easy. So it's kind of like that, where if you are an AI researcher and you've got serious talent, you've got the credentials, you've got a good pedigree from something like Carnegie Mellon, dude, you are worth your weight in gold right now, because you could be the determining factor in the edge versus another company willing to creating certain models. So
yeah, I think it's fair.
I mean, if you're willing to spend all this money on GPUs, you should be willing to spend a lot of money on good talent. You know, what's the point of having like $1 billion, stadium if you're just gonna have a bunch of average dudes playing there? Like, no, you gotta put in some LeBrons, you gotta put in some Tom Brady's in there also. So, yeah. So Zuck's a killer, man. Zuck is a killer.
All right, I think we ended there, folks. I think we ended there. It's been an incredible market. We got Friday left, and the week's basically over, and we get into the end of July.
This is just one last comment before I leave. Look, there's no shade in anyone making money in this market. I don't know why. What did I say that pissed off Quan Tesla? Like, I don't know what happened.
Big Bear AI sucks.
I didn't say Big Bear AI sucks though. I just said that, hey, I don't see any fundamental change that warrants a giant move higher. Does that mean that, hey, it sucks? Like,
no, I mean, look, people have their names. People are attached to their names, and
people need to stop treating like, hey, listen, if I talk about a company, I'm automatically like insulting your child, bro. It's a company, okay?
And I agree with that. I mean, at the end of the day, not everyone's going to be bearish or bullish on something. So, like, but regardless, in this market, to me, momentum is getting a premium. The question is, so like I said this in the morning, Big Bear has momentum. In a year, does it hold this momentum? Even in a month?
Yeah.
And if it does, then everyone's saying it's purely BS momentum. They're wrong, because it is able to hold. But if it does, and that time gets to tell. But I think your point is, do you want to take that risk? Like, and if you don't want to take that risk, that's okay. But for the people making money taking that risk, it's great for them. But if you personally don't want to see that happen because you don't want to deal with the drawdown that could theoretically happen if there's no fundamental reason, then you move on and you buy the companies you know.
Yeah. I mean, look, I don't know. To be honest, I really don't know much about Big Bear AI, with the exception that they are heavily invested in government contracts. And I think they had some contracts with the Air Force at one point. Or is that C3 AI? Does C3 AI have that? Like I said, I don't know much about it. All I know is anything with like an AI name to it is getting it's getting a significant premium to where it should be. And right now they're all rising at the same time. So it's not like, hey, there's a fundamental sea change in that one specific company that's justifying this rise. It's like Webull. Webull is up. Am I going out there shouting, yeah, man, I could see Webull coming from a mile away? Like, no, just everything is running right now, which means that it's more likely that things are overbought for no reason. If, let's say right now, a company came out and said, hey, listen, we beat our guidance by 100% and the fucking thing ran up 50%, by all means, that is a justified reason to go up.
Yeah.
But if your stock is up 100% because the rest of the market is up 100%, that is not exactly like running on good fundamentals. And eventually people wake up to the idea that, hey, wait a second, maybe this is not the company that we need. And the freaking thing collapses on itself. You know, I mean, look at some of the companies. Look, maybe Big Bear AI, if you're bullish on it, whatever, but look at Virgin, what's it? Virgin Galactic?
Yeah.
You know, look what happened today. It's up 13% today. Based on what?
That is exactly. It's nothing. Absolutely nothing. Open door. Right? That is also nothing. We don't have rate cuts yet. Like, if rate cuts is the thesis, there is no thesis because we didn't get the rate cuts. I think
Sam put something interesting on Twitter. He said the market cap of Open Door is in excess right now of what is the market cap of this thing?
1.
Is in excess of like the total assets that it owns minus the liabilities. And that's essentially their business. But a lot of people are very bullish on Open Door. Okay, great. Just if that's what you feel, that's what you feel. But whenever you're seeing the entire market starting to rise in one direction, not based on any real fundamental change or a sea change in a business model, like I could understand a lot of AI companies running right now, because let's say AI is going through its renaissance moment, but then you have Virgin Galactic running.
Yeah.
Then you've got these other small time companies. Like I have a list of companies that I literally put on my list, and they're like they're my Momo portfolio. So Momo is just like people buying things based on momentum, right? So let me just go to it. I'll tell you exactly which companies are on there. Where is it? Okay, Open Door, Virgin Galactic, AMC, C3 AI, Affirm, Palantir, and SoFi. Don't hate me, Palantir, SoFi community. But y'all are a bunch of retail people, so whatever retail runs, you guys are on there.
Okay, but hold on.
Lemonade,
SoFi's
Upstart.
breaking out of a multi-year base, and then Palantir is just Palantir. So
Yeah.
I don't know if
Then
they are in the same bucket, but
Like, here's another one, Skills. Do you remember Skills
yeah, it's
from
the video game Kathy company? Is that up again?
Look at its 3-month chart.
Dude.
Look at the 3-month chart on this thing. No, look, I'm telling you, look at look, since April lows, this is up 64%.
Yeah. So here again, my and I think you kind of agree with me here. Some of this stuff, it might go back down to zero, but that doesn't mean it has to take the market down. And that's the difference.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to take the market down. Whereas in 2021, the whole freaking market fell. And that was because nothing was based on fundamentals.
Brother, I was invested in some bullshit SPACs too. I thought there was some real, like, there was this one company that I invested in that I feel like an idiot now that I look back. You know what that company is called? Latch.
I feel like
Have you heard of them?
I feel like
LTCH, Latch. Okay. What these guys were essentially doing is there was like a trio of former Apple employees that developed this thing for like buildings, right? Where they would do remote entry, right? And so they would partner with remote access to your apartments and stuff like that. So they would partner with these buildings to basically allow, like these smart locks, smart doors. And the product looked amazing, by the way. If you look at Latch, I don't know if their website is still up. It looked really good. They had investments from a lot of these big time multifamily commercial developers and stuff. And I was like, man, this thing could be like the next Ring, right? This thing could get acquired for a significant premium. There was no freaking real fundamental business. And then it died,
The thing is, I'm not seeing tons of random SPACs go public if they're not associated with Bitcoin treasuries. I mean, you got a couple of them, like the Trump grab a gun one, but most of them are treasury companies. I haven't seen like we didn't have this like list of Chamath companies and all these different business sectors that are going public, at least not yet, which makes me feel comfortable. The ones that are going public are tied to Bitcoin and Ethereum, which is fine, but that also makes it feel a little bit different than 2021.
You remember bro, you remember Weejo?
Don't talk shit about Weejo.
I'm not talking shit about it. At least you got a good Vegas trip out of it too.
That was my first CEO interview ever. Okay, I fucking love Weejo. All right, I haven't thought about them. I think in a year and a half. You just jogged my memory. Like, that was they SPAC'd in 2021 as well. They
look. Whenever these moments come, man, you really think that you're on the cusp of a revolution. That's just how things are. When the SPAC idea came out, bro, I bought into it, until everything started to collapse on itself. And I was like, wait a second. No, maybe these businesses are actually not going to do well.
Yeah, but again, I think the big difference here is that none of the big tech earnings matter, even if these stupid random companies are flying. And so I think it's like there's two markets, one which is the real market, one which is the momentum market. Momentum market either dies down or goes higher, but that shouldn't take down the actual market. And hopefully that's how it plays out over the coming years.
There could be some correlation. Don't get me wrong. Like a lot of these companies, remember, they feed into other companies' businesses. So if you remember all of these SPACs, all of these companies that were tech focused, they were getting all this liquidity. And what were they doing with that? Liquidity? They were buying AWS compute. They were buying.
That's not happening now.
No. I mean, like I said, I don't know how much of the revenue is going to other companies and other businesses, right? So remember, capital has a way of flowing into different parts of the economy, and a lot of these businesses, they intermingle. So right now, let's say you have all of these SPACs that came out. A lot of them were backed via equity and investment from other companies. Remember Palantir. Palantir bought into a lot of these SPAC companies. So when the SPACs collapsed, Palantir had to take the write-off on themselves. Remember Rubicon?
I agree, but I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing major companies engage in the 2021 Palantir SPAC type of deals. You know, like it's Cantor Fitzgerald that's taking them.
Yeah, right. No. I'm not disagreeing with you. I think it's a lot more limited this time than it was before. I mean, you remember Wejo? Who was one of Wejo's major stakeholders?
Palantir.
It wasn't just Palantir. It was like GM.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
I mean, if you're talking about, hey, credibility, you got a company like GM, huge business, buying into the SPAC. So you're thinking, wait a second, GM probably did their due diligence. Like, there's no way that they would just throw money at this one company. And then when things didn't work out, GM took a hit. You know,
but see, so I agree. The other thing that I feel makes this different is Ginkgo Bioworks, for example. That company got a $15 billion valuation when they went public. Grab, by the way, as much as I love Grab, they got a $60 billion valuation when they went public. And the reason those valuations were so artificially inflated is because rates were at 0. Rates are at 4.5 right now. So it's really hard for that much artificial inflation in valuations to happen when 7 trillion, by the way, let me check the money market inflows, is still getting 4.5%. It's a nothing burger. 7 billion decrease on money markets, right? Like, so it's not like those companies can easily get $40 to $50 billion valuations anymore because rates are still kind of high.
I mean, brother, look at the valuations a lot of these crypto treasuries are getting.
But that's different. That's tied to if Bitcoin and Ethereum keep going up, then who cares?
But the problem is they're trading way above the NAV, right? So if you have, let's say, $1 billion in Bitcoin value, right? But you are a $5 billion market cap. How does that make sense?
Well, that comes down to the messenger of the company, I would say, to be honest.
Yeah. And you're absolutely right to say that. I mean, at least there's some asset that's backing it a little bit. The one thing I would say is keep an eye on the operating costs of these businesses, you know, and see if there's real value that's actually being injected into the company. You know, other than, hey, let's just buy more of the underlying asset, you know, and the question is, how do you finance that asset as well? I think that's another big thing to consider, because if you're fueling it with debt, that's in my opinion, not a good thing, because debt is one of those things that could cause you to basically crash, you know. But if you do it with the right amount of debt at a very low level, it's not a bad thing. Right now, from what I can tell, a lot of these Ethereum treasuries are being funded on overvalued stock. So let's say right now your NAV is $1 billion and your market cap is $3 billion. Bro, it's smart to go out there, issue a crap ton of shares, take that cash, fiat cash, buy the underlying crypto, right? And you're basically getting a massive discount relative to the price of the underlying asset. And then so exactly dilute until your staking can keep the flywheel moving.
The staking has basically 100% margin.
Yeah, exactly. So you don't need a lot of operating staff and operating personnel to manage the whole thing. So, you know, that's why a lot of these Bitcoin miners, they ended up going from mining to Bitcoin treasuries, right? So instead of selling the Bitcoin to keep operations going, they're just like, hey, screw it. Let the value of the Bitcoin go up. And instead of selling any Bitcoin, we'll just keep issuing shares. You know, and the business model seems to be working right now. The question is, how long can that business model work? And I don't know.
Kris, we do got some breaking news. Last thing before we leave, Representative Anna Luna saying, I'm criminally referring Jay Powell to the DOJ to investigate perjury regarding his crazy $2.5 billion building.
This is really not the hill that these guys should be dying on, man. Like, I really don't like. dude, the market's at all-time highs. Everything is like, the economy is okay. Unemployment is not high. Why would you want to do this? Like, what is the purpose of this?
We got to refinance the debt. Right? That's their
Bro,
argument, I guess.
Bro, refinancing the debt, but if the longer rates get blown out, then what's the point?
I agree.
They would have done a better job had they not extended most of the tax cuts and instead just said, you know what, we need to get into a point where we're going to show some fiscal restraint in our spending. We're going to keep taxes somewhat, under control, but we're not going to give additional discounts, right? And people like Elon, right? They would have said, "Oh, great, this is amazing. Doge cuts are happening. We're seeing a better fiscal picture going on." Yeah. And at the same time, now the people would have had more confidence in the US dollar and people would have bought treasuries, right? Here's a question. If I'm out here spending my money like there's no tomorrow, and I ask you, hey, Amit, can I borrow $1,000 from you? You're going to say no. Screw you. Like, you can't control your own house. You don't know how to spend your own money. Like, I'm not going to give you money. But if you see me, I'm a responsible person, and I'm like, hey, listen, can I borrow $1,000? You'd be like, yeah, I mean, this guy has his fiscal house in order. He makes sure that he's taking care of all his bills. I'm going to lend this guy money, and you're going to lend it to me at a lower rate than a guy who's not fiscally responsible. I know. So I think they really need to stop blaming Jerome Powell. They need to blame, honestly, the Trump administration, and they need to blame the big, beautiful bill. Okay. Which, by the way, I think it's great for pro-growth initiatives and for people like me and you who are asset holders.
Yeah.
The stock market is doing great. The big, beautiful bill is going to do great. All the corporations are going to do great. We're going to do great. You know who's not going to do great? People that don't have any stocks, people that don't have any assets. They're not going to do great. You ask me, hey, Kris, how's inflation negatively impacted you? I'll be like, yeah, well, inflation's there, but my portfolio is higher too, so I don't care. But not everyone has a portfolio.
The only way that doesn't happen is the economy grows so massively that, yes, we benefit as asset holders, but the common person that doesn't own assets, there's so much more wage increases, so many more job opportunities. Like, that is, I guess, Trump's big vision. The question is, how much deficit spending do we need to do to get there?
See, the thing is, your wages going up is great, but if inflation is also going up at the same time, then is your wage really going up?
That is a point. By the way, we just got some more breaking news. Wow. Holy crap, dude. Governor Christopher Waller of the Fed just put out an article, The Case for Cutting Now. He will vote for a 25 bip cut at the July meeting, citing softening GDP growth, stalling private sector hiring, and inflation close to target. He warns waiting could risk falling behind.
There you go. Waller's been looking for that job.
Waller wants that new job, baby.
Waller's like, bro, I just put me in as Fed chair, baby. I'll cut every day, all day. By the way, for anyone here is like, oh, Kris is a hater, bro, I have TLT, okay? I want rates to come down. I could make a lot of money on TLT. Right now, I'm down on my TLT position, but I also know, hey, for the country's sake, don't be crazy with trying to fire the freaking Fed chair, and now all of a sudden people lose confidence in the US dollar, right? In which case now people lose confidence in the treasuries. If the people lose confidence in treasuries, long-term rates go up, not down, in which case my TLT position gets screwed.
Yeah.
Right? So I am for rate cuts. I want interest rates to come down. It's in my best interest for them to come down. But I also know the method about trying to take out a Fed chair is probably not the right way to do it.
And I don't think they're going to do it. I don't think this whole investigation nonsense, I don't think they're actually, I think Trump saw how the market reacted, even if it was a little dip. He saw how much instability, bonds started going up. And then he calmed it down in the meeting when he said it's highly unlikely. So Waller's campaigning for a cut. They're doing all this public pressure. I would say, gun to my head, Jay Powell will cut in September. Now, if he doesn't, maybe Trump says get the hell out. But I do think they'll keep it cool until September and give him at least a shot.
You could just send some goons and get them like, listen, you're going to cut. Otherwise, I'm going to break your legs or take out your kneecaps.
It's a wild, wild situation in this market. But the earnings growth, as long as that continues, I think, broader market hopefully can maintain momentum.
The one positive, and this is something that I think who was it Pepsi that reported better earnings today?
Yeah,
was it Pepsi?
Yeah.
A lot of the companies in the S&P 500, they have a lot of revenue that comes from outside the US. So weakened dollar actually boosts the EPS that goes into their calculation, right? So they make money from more US dollars coming into their business. So inflation theoretically in terms of pro growth is good. But once again, that goes into people who hold stocks are going to weather the inflation narrative a lot better than people who are not invested in stocks, who, like I said, they're working their day-to-day jobs. Their wages are increasing by 3%, but then inflation is going up by 4% or 5% on them, right? And that negatively impacts their well-being and their state of mind, you know? So.
Okay, last question. Do you think by August 1st we get enough deals? I mean, we got Indonesia, Trump says India's coming soon. Do you think August 1st is a taco, we get deals and markets are okay?
I hope so. I mean, most of the deals are inconsequential in my opinion. The only ones that really matter that I'm looking at is EU, Japan, South Korea. Those are our largest trading partners.
Canada, Mexico, those are two big ones.
But don't we have like preliminary agreements with them already or no?
Trump said
well, I know Canada. Yeah, I know.
So.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing about Canada and Mexico. They have a lot of carve-outs. A lot. Like if you look at it, if you look at like all the stuff like, oh yeah, we have 30% tariffs on Canada, except X, except Y, except Z, except this, except this, except this. So it's like, really? What are you really tariffing? You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah. So, all right. I think that's it.
We'll see how this market plays out. August 1st is going to be big. Overall market has done pretty good today. Crypto's running. We'll keep analyzing it every day. Kris, thank you. Talk to you later.
Yeah. Someone's like ICE is lowering unemployment.
I mean, the illegal immigration argument is an argument, dude. Let me real quick. I got a DM today from someone. If he's watching, I won't say your name, but I got a DM from someone. He said, "Hey, Mid, love the channel. Been keeping up with you for a while. I've had Palantir for a long time, but my wife is very woke. She's not happy that Palantir works with ICE. Quote, she is making me get out of the position, giving me 2 years. I was hoping to hold till at least 2030, but I sold half yesterday, and I will probably sell the rest after earnings. Also,
leave her, bro. Leave her.
And then he says, also, she said, I can't write a Substack about how much I hate her.
Leave her. Leave her,
can't
bro.
Leave her. His profile picture is him and his little baby.
I don't care. I don't care if Palantir is overvalued. If the reason for selling Palantir is, hey, they work with the government, bro, you should just invest. You should just basically take all your money out of the market. Okay. Because at some level, almost every company works with the US government and supports the administrations that exist. Tell her, should you sell Microsoft? Because Microsoft has government contracts. How come Microsoft is not like, hey, anyone who works at ICE, you can't use Windows anymore? Or, hey, anyone who works with ICE, you can't use Google anymore.
This is why it's important to pick your partner carefully. You get married to someone who has these types of extreme thoughts and makes you sell your stock because, like, I mean, that's it. Like,
bro, I just
would not tolerate that, dude. Like,
I just red pilled my wife. My wife was an uber liberal about 3.5-4 years ago, right? Like, I mean, she was hardcore anti-Trump when Trump first got in the first administration. She was like one of those people that like bawled out crying and all this other stuff, and I was like, you know, right wing MAGA, Chris Patel kind of thing. But the thing is, I was like, okay, how am I gonna change this up? So what I did is, number one, I got her on X. So anyway, once you're on X, bro, you're gonna get that your journey to conservatism has started, right? So the first thing is you start getting on X. So first she got on X. Then what I ended up was red pilling her. So at night when she fell asleep, she'd leave her like account open. I had her just follow a whole bunch of fucking like conservative accounts. And so all of the influence that came into her was like conservative shit. And eventually she's like, one day she wakes up, I think we need to get a gun. And I'm like, baby, your journey to the dark side is complete. You know, yesterday I actually had an argument with her because we were watching the CNN documentary about like this guy who's been in the US for like 30 years. And he just recently got deported to Mexico, and he's like living in this shack surrounded by like all these criminal gangs and everything else. And I'm like, man, isn't that sad? She's like, no, why? He committed a crime. I was like, he came here when he was 6 months old, girl. Like, you gotta have some level of compassion for people like that. Nope.
She went.
Nope.
She's
They
all the way
go.
right wing of this.
They gotta go. They gotta go. And I was like, what the hell? Like, now I gotta get her on. Like, now I gotta reverse it a little bit because she's
You gotta
becoming,
follow
like,
AOC, Bernie. You gotta mix it up now. There.
bro. She's going too. Like, she's going beyond my level of conservatism. You know, she's like, deport them all. I was like, damn, what the hell happened? Like, you went from, hey, Trump is evil, blah, 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 to now, like, I support this guy. You know, it's like, it's crazy, dude. Yeah.
See, anytime people hate on Kris, he ends up just being funny, and you win them back. All right, Kris, I like you again.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's just, look, if we can't have open conversation, open dialogue, that's what it is. And I think one of the things that hurts me when I come on your channel is sometimes people get really, what's the word? Like super emotional because it's like, oh, Kris is talking about the company that I'm invested in. And, you know, like and look, I don't mean to personally insult you. Please don't take it as, hey, Kris is insulting me via the companies I own. You know, and I don't think you're an idiot for buying them. Trust me, there's plenty of companies that I've sold that right now are 20 times higher. Palantir, you know, and I'm the idiot on that. But I think long term, I will be proven right. And that's when I will actually go to Iliano and laugh at him. And because he really like repost shit on X. But one day when Palantir is down 20-30%, like 20-30%, I'm going to say 80%.
Yeah, no, but
like,
see,
hey,
for you to do that, it's got to actually go back to 50. And I don't know if we're seeing that, bro.
If it gets back below 50, I already have a tweet that I saved, like actually like that I'm going to post. I'll be like, don't worry, Iliano. Those merch sales are going to help improve margins next year. I already know I'm going to do that. I mean, what if Iliano's probably on here, so it's not going to work as well. But I have a reply. I have one for Chad. I'm going to keep that one a secret. So every time these assholes post shit on X, like, oh, look at Kris, he sold early, I'm going to post shit on there eventually. But I'm waiting my time. I'm biding my time.
You know what's really funny? There was a guy, I've told the story, who had 10,000 shares of Palantir. He sold at 30, and he sold in the most obnoxious way. He sold because he said the hat was the top, aka the merch store. Mm-hmm. Obviously, dead wrong. And he was a toxic person. He made fun of people in the Palantir community. Like he wasn't someone that I think deserved the type of gains on Palantir because of how horrible. And I mean horrible. I'm not saying that lightly. How horrible of a human being he was to other people in the community. He sold at 30. Yesterday he tweeted, he needs a therapist for how much he's feeling the pain on the gains that he missed out on. Iliano responds and he says, "Would you like me to send you a hat?"
Dude, I think I know who you're talking about. I think
don't say his name. I don't even want to.
I'm not gonna say. Yeah, but I think I know. Yeah, dude. At least with me, I just said, you know what? I'm not dealing with the Palantir community. I'm not gonna go anti-Palantir. See, a lot of people went hardcore anti-Palantir. I didn't do that. But yeah, that guy I remember he was trying to clown on Palantir so hard.
No, but this is the guy who loved Palantir, but he clowned on everybody else. He was bullish Palantir. He had 10,000 shares.
Are we talking about Mr. Canada? The Canada dude?
No, dude. I'm talking about someone who super bullish Palantir. I think his average was $10. He had 10,000 shares.
No, I know who you're talking about. It's the guy from Canada. Remember
yes.
That's the guy, right? Okay, I know exactly who it is.
You're saying he's anti-Palantir. He was always bullish Palantir.
Yeah, I remember his comment about like the hats being like the top. He was also hardcore into Tesla too, if I remember, right?
Yes, but Palantir was his main position. And the thing is, Chad and Iliano started interacting with us in the community.
Right.
In June of 2024, when the merch came out, and like they were really interacting with the retail. It's what we've always wanted. We wanted, the employees and institutional support. And as soon as they start interacting with us, the first thing this asshole does is say, why are the employees talking to us on Twitter and why are they selling a hat? That's the top. I'm selling all my shares. And the poetic justice of this, he could have had a 10-15x on his hands. And instead he sold for like a triple. Life-changing amounts of money he missed out on because of being an asshole, being a dick, I think is poetic to me. And Iliana responding yesterday saying, "You want me to send you a hat to make up for it?"
Dude, I just thought of another really good quote. I'm gonna message Iliano. How much of the new revenue is hat sales? What percentage of Palantir's revenue is hat sales?
You need an 80% drawdown to do that.
Yes. I am patient. I'm waiting. Okay. All the clowning that I got now that Palantir is at all-time highs, I will come back when it's back down to the 40s, 50s, maybe 20s.
I don't think that'll ever happen. I see your. I mean, I know why you think it will happen because I guess it's expensive. I just don't think it gets back to 50.
Because it's got 2.5. Look, honestly, it's because it's got 2.5 billion shares outstanding, dude. And the dilution is really there right now. They are growing, but I don't think the growth is sustainable. That's
I disagree. I think the growth is. I think they will shock everybody with the growth. I think they're going to get 40-50% over the coming years. I really do.
Yeah, but for how many years?
I think they can do it for the next 5 to 10 years, but maybe not 40%, but at least 30, 35.
Okay, so did you model it out? 50% growth, top
it's
line,
still
maybe 100% growth?
That's still expensive. But if you're the only AI company that can grow 40% for the next 5 years, you're gonna get a multiple. Like it is what it is.
Did you see the video from Jeremy? I think that one was probably the best explanation. Jeremy sold out of some portion of his Palantir, right? And his explanation on why was actually very logical. Very logical.
Valuation. That's it. Like I don't shame him for doing that. I don't shame anyone for taking profits here. But like at the end of the day, I do think they will be able to keep up the growth.
Yeah. All right. We'll see what happens, bro. I'll see you back down in the 40s. Me, you, Chad, Iliano. And you know my tweets are coming, bro.
What if we go to the 400s before the 40s? I mean,
it doesn't matter. You know my tweets are coming, bro. All right. I'm just waiting. I'm waiting, Chad. You just give me the day, Chad. I already got the button. Hit send. Hit send. All right. So we'll see.
All right, Chris. Appreciate it.
Later, brother.
We'll talk to you later. Later.
Bye.
For those that actually want to see the Ilyana tweet, go to his Twitter and then go to the replies, and then you'll be able to find it. If you scroll down his replies, you'll find it. But I'm not linking anything. I just I don't have the patience for people that are that toxic and that narcissistic and that mean to everybody else. And it's just such poetic justice that they ended up selling not at the top, at the beginning of the S curve. Because imagine they held all those shares to this day, the level of ego they would have. Like when you have a win in the stock market, you're supposed to be humble about it, be gracious about it. You're supposed to realize like it's not easy to get there. So you shouldn't shit on everyone else if their stock isn't doing that well. And I have no patience for people that are the opposite. And if he held on to those 10,000 shares, he would be an absolute, there would be no way anyone would be able to handle him. But he didn't. His ego got the best of him. All right, folks, that's it. I'm out. I'm sweating like crazy. I got a fan blowing on me. That's why you see the tears on the chair going up or down. 3 hours in. I'll be back tomorrow. It's Friday. And so we'll end out this market tomorrow. It's been a great day, been great for crypto, great for some of these momentum names. We've seen a lot of names continue to put up strong earnings like a TSM, like a Pepsi, if that can continue. Hopefully that's the case. Netflix, no idea what's going to happen to that. It's down about 2% right here, down about 1.6. I mean, I think it'll be flat. Maybe it dumps tomorrow. It's a Friday. People tend to sell on Fridays. Maybe it holds on. Weeble's up a little bit after hours, 4% as well. Maybe that can hold on tomorrow. NVIDIA still pushing 173. BMNR is up 7%. And then Palantir and Hoodie. I mean, they've been doing their thing all year. Palantir right here after hours is 154. And then Hoodie broke 106 today after hours, 106.15. Ethereum 3,400. It's been pretty incredible. Pretty freaking incredible. All right, that's it. That is it. I am done. I am sweating. I'm going to go take a shower because this is basically 8 hours of sweating all day. And I will see everybody tomorrow again on the market open. S&P 500, 628. Again, all-time highs after hours. Hoodie 106.10. Palantir 154.08 after hours. I'm not going to clap. There's no way I'm staying for another hour. There's no way. If it was like 5 o'clock maybe, but it's 7. And it's just too damn hot. All right, that's it. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you all. See you guys tomorrow on the market open. Yeah, if I wore the basketball jersey with the hoodie today, that would have really got the sweat up. All right, love you all. Thank you all for being here. We'll be back tomorrow on the market open. Bye, everybody. Have a good one.